Tips above the water, you watch me drown. You could have saved me, but you let me down. Yeah.
All right, Gab, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm delighted, and I was real excited when you said yes to the invitation.
I was really excited when I got invited, so it's really worked out.
So you think in cartoon, because I've heard that like as a mantra. You say, I think in cartoon. I think in cartoon.
Yes.
What exactly does that mean? Because I don't know.
What that means is like when you're at the grocery store and somebody accidentally pulls a lemon and all the lemons fall. I don't just see that. I see it truly in cartoon, and then 7 scenes later, right? So the next person coming and tripping on the then I've built a story and it's all in cartoon, and none of it is like a real person, even though it happened to a real person. My brain immediately goes to cartoon.
That's always been that way.
It's always been that way. I've always as a little kid, like right before I started school, my mom and dad were like, do you think you're ready? And I was like, oh no, I'm totally ready. When the teacher asks, like, what does Bugs Bunny say? I'm going to say, what's up, Doc? Like, I didn't know anything about real people. And I still have a real tough time. I have a real break with reality a lot of the time.
Well, I would think sometimes in society looks like a cartoon.
Yeah.
We're living in cartoon times.
Eric, I'm very depressed. I used to bill myself as an absurdist, and now,
wait.
thanks to the world, it's all absurd. I mean, nothing I say can, like, people believe everything now. Like, nothing is ridiculous.
So have you seen that actually happen and change over the last 15 years?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. Absurdity is dead. It's dead because the whole world is absurd. Yeah.
Social media do it to us?
So I do believe, yeah, because on social media, I had made a joke that my inflatable shark best friend and I had been cast in an off-Broadway production of Perfect Strangers, the musical. When I tell you I had 218, good job, Gab, we're all so proud of you. Go, Phineas, who would have thought? And I'm like, yeah, who would have? Are you really? Yeah, it's bad. Eric, it's bad. I can't even be crazy anymore. They've ruined it for me.
Yeah, I had our mutual friend Terry Jones on. He was kind of saying the same thing, that comedy's a little more challenging now because it's different, because the things that got a reaction 12, 15 years ago don't get the same reaction anymore.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, we watched, my sister and I watched Dennis Leary, No Cure for Cancer, which was like our favorite special in the 90s.
Right.
It did not hold up. We're like, you can't say that. You can't say that. You can't, like, he would not be, all of the specials we grew up loving, like, would be not made right now.
Go back a little further, like Eddie Murphy's original stuff.
Oh my God. Richard Pryor. I mean,
even go back further, George Carlin, Lenny Bruce. Would those guys be around today?
Oh my God, no. Yeah, it's a whole other. I try to be like Lenny, but on the like kinder, happier side. Like, hey guys, don't kill yourselves. Where he was just like, what's the point? And I'm like, I try to turn it. I just like, I wanted to be the person who kept Lenny alive. That would have been my life's dream. But
is there? There used to be no rules in the concept of comedy. Would you agree?
See, that's funny you say that, because I always feel like I hate that there always feels like there's rules in comedy, and I'm always like, no.
Okay, that was my question to you. We are living with rules in comedy today, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean,
unwritten rules, or people testing them once in a while?
There's like the new rules of like society of what we can and can't say and what we can and can't make fun of, which I really have like a lot of opinions on that. And then there's also the rules of the old school club comedians. Like when I first started, there was the Funny Bone and the Improv were both in existence, and all the guys at the Funny Bone would be like mad at me if I'd come to an open mic the following week with new material. They'd be like, you haven't even perfected your first 5. Every comedian has to and I'd just be like, I will lose it if I can only do 5 minutes. Like I'm just beginning. I'm trying to find my voice. But it was like that, get that tight 5, tight 15, never like growing and exploring. And I come from a theater background, so I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Like I've never understood open mics, because I don't understand being in a room of all comedians who hate you. Like, how is this testing out new material? How is this good? This just makes me want to die. I can't do this. Like, I need extra meds after this experience. I always tested out my material. My mom, she was my open mic night. I'd come down and I'd do 5 minutes for her. She'd crack up or not, and then we would go from there. Like, that was, yeah. So no, I'm always been a rule breaker in that sense.
Okay.
And I would say even material I did 5-10 years ago, I would be like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. But I was like, you were allowed to say that. You were allowed to have opinions. I don't know what I'm, like now it's just, you can't, I feel, some things.
I don't know how any of you do it anymore. And I've had T. Rowe was on, as I mentioned too, Craig Gass was on the show when he came to Pittsburgh, a friend of mine. And we all talk about it. And I wanted to ask you too, like, so obviously you have to be aware of what's going on. You need to be really socially conscious as a comedian, don't you? Yeah,
and in a way you do, because you have no idea what you could say that could trigger someone within the audience. Now, I, as someone who also suffer from PTSD and get triggered very easily, I also think there's a little bit of responsibility in the audience. Like, I don't go to comedy shows because I don't want to be in a bad mood all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I really dictate my life by my PTSD rather than being like, hey, I bet you my PTSD will go away when I go see this super offensive comedian. Let's see what happens. And then I'm So I think we all need to kind of do our part. Like, let's not be offensive for offensive sake. Like, I think being edgy, coming out of your own truth, you can't go wrong. Mm-hmm. Like when people say you can't make a rape joke, and then I hear women who have been raped or men who have been raped, and they're talking about their experience, and I think, well, why can't they? That's their experience.
Right.
Don't take that from them. If they want to joke about it, let them. I mean, I've joked about my dad dying of cancer. I've joked about my mother dying. I mean, you have to joke about the darkness, or holy crap.
And that, I think, is the big decision. You've got a portion of society that is so uber sensitive to everything, and they're raising children, unfortunately, that are going to be that way. So I think the next couple generations, it's probably not real promising for comedians. I mean, I don't mean to be the downer here, but I mean, it feels that like, how do you manage that?
Here's something sick though, but for 8 years now, I have been comedians to children. So my hope is they're going to, either way, if the kids are like, I want to rage against the machine, I like Gab, she talks about depression, or if they're like, hey, I just want something safe. It's like, remember Gab and her glue stick stories? Let's go see that crazy girl. So I feel like hopefully I can play either crowd. I'm hoping.
Oh, man. You talked about open mic nights, and I thought that you just nailed it, because I always thought, too, like, wow, they encourage you to come to open mic nights. But how intimidating is that when most of the audience are wannabe comedians, right?
Who hate you.
Yeah, how could there be a more tense audience than that?
Eric, like, you've met me now for what, 20 minutes? You can see that I have the energy of Buddy the Elf. Imagine me in any open mic scenario. They hate me. They look at me like when he goes into the mailroom. I am never welcome. I'm too happy.
Yeah.
Happy people are not welcome at open mic nights. I want to start having them out of my house, like private sessions, like just 5 of us at a time.
God. All right, let's wind it back a little bit. This is great.
I'm sorry, I'm very ADHD, manic depressive.
That's what we love on this show. Especially when we do morning shows, so I can wake up a little bit here. I love it when the guests can carry the show.
Yay, because I went to the gym at 6 a.m. I took a kettlebell class to be pumped for this, so I'm excited.
Good. Yeah. Well, you're definitely... And you've described yourself as a manic high energy person.
Yes,
and you haven't disappointed in the first 10 minutes. So, when did you know you were funny? I mean, self-examined. Like, you actually realized I'm kind of funny.
Yeah, pretty early, I'd say, because my family, like, I grew up in a family of funny people, so to make them laugh was like gold. So very early on, I was like, either figuring ways to be, they used to call me Little Belushi. I used to do a lot of like slapstick. I would just like, do pratfalls all the time. I was totally like wild and just, I was that little kid, I was like a lot like my father. He was pretty nuts and I took after him. He liked biting people in the bum. So like as a little girl, I would just go up to men and bite them in the bum at grocery stores. My parents like, you have to stop doing that. I'm like, but Dad does it. He bites people in the bum. Like, I just didn't know. I just like, yeah, it was very.
I don't even know where to go with that.
There you go. Like, that's what I mean. Like, it was just a very.
The society we're living in today, I don't know where to go with that.
And that's a real story. A little girl who bites men's bums. I don't know what to say.
I'm not sure that would work in the dating scene or even in the social scene at a high school football game. Probably not the best thing to do.
No, it's not a good tactic.
Grocery store.
No. And I think my old man just did it to be a, like it was a frat boy kind of a thing, Not that he was a frat boy. He was an army guy, but
So you're in high school. Is there any inclinations that you want to Did you know what you wanted to do in high school?
So no.
Okay.
Very young, my mom, so I'm the youngest of 5.
Okay.
And my mom had kind of always made it clear she had wanted one of her kids to be a doctor. And so my brothers are all way older than me, so they were already like out of college by the time I was 5, so they weren't doctors. My sister had no interest in being a doctor, so up until like 8th grade, I was like, I'm going to be a brain surgeon. That is what I am going to do. And I was really good in math and science, and I had like very good...
You wanted to be a brain surgeon?
I wanted to for my mom. Like,
Okay.
you need to know, like,
Okay.
if you've watched Psycho, the movie Psycho, Norman Bates, he'd do anything for his mother, a boy's best friend and his mother. That was me and my mom. I would have kept her corpse. I'm serious. They wouldn't let me. We could get to that later. But anyway, love my mom. So I wanted to be a brain surgeon because I wanted to make her happy. And I was always obsessed with the brain because I always knew I was crazy. And thanks to Woody Allen movies, I knew when I was older, I would get to go to therapy because my parents didn't really believe in that. So I was like, okay, when I'm 18, I get to see an analyst. Everything will be okay then. So yeah, I was going to be a brain surgeon. And then right in middle school, I realized I was obsessed with Woody Allen movies and all kinds of movies, and that's when I was like, could I maybe be a filmmaker? And I asked my dad, who loved the arts, and he was like, yes, filmmaker. And then he like bought me my first like camcorder to go make movies as a kid. And
How'd your mom think about that?
I think she was a little heartbroken. I think she was like, no, you're my last hope of a doctor. But I think she also just wanted me to be happy. Because
Sure.
by middle school, that's when the school was like, hey, we think she should try group therapy. And they're like, uh-oh, okay, what do you want to do, baby? Just trying to keep me happy. So
That's a reoccurring theme I hear when I ask comedians about their past. They usually say, someone when I was younger recommended group therapy for me.
it's always, yep, pretty much. You don't get to comedy without being completely insane. It's not even...
Okay.
I think.
So you went to Duquesne for theater.
Yes.
How did comedy come out of that? Did you... Talk to me about college.
Okay, so I ended up going to Duquesne. Well, first of all, I didn't want to go to college, but my mom, so I kept skipping the SATs, thinking if I don't take them, I can't go. And then our assistant principal at Montour, my mother worked at the school, and he was like, "Hey, why isn't Gabby going to college? She's in all the AP classes." And my mom's like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, so I was forced to do that. Duquesne, I kind of went there because music was sort of my big thing in high school, playing the trumpet. So I had a teacher that recommended that I maybe become a trumpet teacher. My dad was like, "That doesn't stink. That'll be a good day gig, for you." And so that's why I auditioned at Duquesne. But then I didn't want to be a music teacher at all. And then I fell in love with theater. So that's how I kind of got into that there. And I started doing playwriting contests.
Right.
And things like that, and directing contests. And I don't know, I had an advisor who sort of was like, look, you're super funny and you're a character actress. So it's going to be hard for you to get acting gigs at 22 years old when you should be playing like roles of 50-year-olds. What about stand-up? And he kind of has said it. And this comedian Jesse Joyce went to Duquesne, and he had said it to me too. He's like, you should be a comedian. So I kind of like those two people kind of pushed me towards it, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, so did you start doing open mics in college?
Jesse took me to my first open mic at the Funny Bone, and I immediately was like, nah, I don't want to do this. I hate this. This is so negative. Every man is making jokes about their pee-pee. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. So there was only one woman. I was just like, yeah, I don't want to. And so I took I didn't go back for a year, and then my brother, who had always been really funny, he was like, why don't we both sign up for this contest at the Funny Bone? And I was like, you know what, if you're going to do it, I feel safer. So I signed up. He didn't, not telling me. And when it came time to do it, I was the only one
Brothers.
there. Yeah, exactly. And so, and then I made it to the finals, and then everyone's like, so you're going to do this forever now? And I'm like, oh, I guess this is what I do now. And that's literally how it just kind of took off. And then I got my own room, and really, because I realized early on I didn't want to be at the Funny Bone only doing 5 minutes,
Right.
I knew for me to grow, I needed way more time. And
so talk about that. What was the first, what did you set out to do first for a young comedian? Where'd you cut your teeth?
So for me, I started at the Funny Bone, and then I was working at a cafe, and Carl Mullen, who used to be the booking agent at Club Cafe, happened to come in, and my manager was like, hey, do you know who this is? He runs Club Cafe. Gab's a comedian. It was just I'd only been doing it maybe a month. And I was just like, hey, I'd love to do comedy at Club Cafe. And he was like, I like your energy. I'll give you a shot. And, my shot was 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. That was my night.
Prime.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I could do this. And I somehow got 50 people. I don't know how I brought out 50 people. So he's like, all right, I'll give you a Saturday at 11. Let's see what happens. And we sold out. And then he was like, all right, you get every Wednesday at 11. I'll give you one weekend night. And he would pay me. I got $100 to produce the show. So, as a 22-year-old, and I'm already making money doing comedy. Now my family's like, you got this. Like, this desire to leave Pittsburgh was the problem there. So like, they also wanted me to stay here. So it was kind of a problem. But that's how it kind of started and took off. And I started producing and sending out my own press releases. That really annoyed all the old comic veterans who were like much older than me and had been in the scene. I don't think they ever thought to do that. And so I was just like, young 22-year-old starts comedy night. I'd send it to all the papers and then they'd write articles about me. And then all these vets are like, she sucks. She's been doing it for a minute. How come she's in the paper? And it's like, did you guys ever think about, promoting yourselves? I don't know. I went to Duquesne and I also have a degree in communications. So So I mean, it was just like a no-brainer to try to get people to come. Like, It's not fun to perform for no one.
What year did you graduate from Duquesne?
2003.
Okay, so you were right in the I call it the high energy time of the internet. I say that between like 99 and 206, where people their minds were still being blown. Although it came out in 95-ish.
Yeah.
By the time it really hit like, the heartland of America, I think it was those years. So self-promotion was, people were figuring it out, right?
Exactly. I had a website within a month. Like my friend Neil was like, you need a website, and he made me one. And it was just, we had MySpace and we had ways to promote. And then YouTube, like everything started coming to promote yourself. Like, it was just pretty great.
So you feel your self-promotion probably gives you a tremendous feeling about your career because it's giving you more control on how you're perceived and how you're delivered to the public?
I think it did. It did very much in the beginning. I think I then I don't know. Then I think when I started doing the kids' work, I was just like, I'll just focus on that, and I don't want anyone to think anything about me as a stand-up. And then when my mom passed and I got signed by Misra to do my first album, I was like, no, I'll just let them all know I'm miserable. I'm depressed. Everyone's dead.
I want to talk about that record.
So then everything, and now I'm sort of like, I don't know. My kind of vibe is, life is very hard for me, but I never let it bring me down to the, I have to fight depression. So I don't have the opportunity to let things really keep me down because I have to always be fighting my depression. So I'm sort of just like a fun person who needs a lot of downtime is kind of my vibe. And my stand-up is really about like mental health because that's my whole life.
Okay, so talk about... You're doing stand-up. Did you go on tour, or were you touring the country?
When I was younger?
Yes.
So when I first started, right away I was like, I got to get to New York. So I just started like commuting to New York constantly. And I made friends with Baron Vaughn, Victor Varnado, and this guy Josh Grosfend, who's now a DJ up in Syracuse. But Baron, he's just killing it right now. So we all kind of started at the same time. Baron and I were in a New York comedy festival together. That's how we met. We were a top 10 finalists. We bonded immediately. We both have theater backgrounds. We just really got along. So kind of what I started was bringing them into Pittsburgh, and I would do these like tours with them, and then they would thank me by bringing me to New York, and I would get to do rooms that nobody from Pittsburgh would. Really, like, this is when alternative comedy and underground comedy were like rising. Like now it's sort of the main.
What is that?
That was just saying goodbye to the set 'em up, knock 'em down. Like, no, being kind of the anti-Jerry Seinfeld. It was more like the David Crosses and the Zach Galifianakis, the comedians of comedy. They like Patton Oswalt. They kind of Maria Bamford. They like identified alternative comedy sort of. And so I was getting to be like in that and then bringing it to Pittsburgh. So I was able to bring other comedians then from New York, from that were all alt comics, and bringing them to rooms like the Shadow Lounge and just like Club Cafe, Brillo Box, like these like cool little indie clubs here in Pittsburgh. And for me, I was like, this is my niche. Like, I am going to be the bridge. We're a city of bridges, and I will bring people from New York to Pittsburgh and back and forth, and this is great. And then I got a job in radio, and at the exact same time, my mother started having a carotid artery blockage. And so it was sort of a combination of the radio station was very close to where I grew up. So I was like, I'm going to go back home. And then mom got sick, and I was like, well, I'm going to stay here and take care of mom. And then it was like, you know what, I can't really get to New York anymore. And it just started slowly kind of like,
Well, let's back up a little bit here because you covered quite a bit there. The radio gig.
Okay, yeah.
Where was that? And how'd that come about?
So I first started with Alan Cox. He was on 105.9 The X. And so when I was a young comedian, he did all my Club Cafe shows. So he'd promote them for me. I'd give him stage time. We were friends. And he got the morning show. And so for a year, I came on as his guest co-host, not getting paid, but I got to do morning radio every single day for free for an entire year. So from that, I was heard by a man named John McIntyre, who at that point was on KDK radio, and he invited me on.
John.
Yeah, so I had all the guys from New York coming in. So he was like, hey, why don't you come and promote this tour you're doing? So I came on, I met him, and he thought I was pretty good. And then he got his own show on FM radio. It was a talk radio station, the Man Station. And he was like, he wanted a Robin Givens. He was like, he wanted to be Howard Stern, and he wanted a female producer. So he brought me in to audition. I got the job. And so then I was working on radio. And so it was like my first time, like a full-time job with health insurance doing art. And I was like, this is pretty cool. But I also hated not being visual. I'm a very visual person. So radio.
So it was limiting to you.
I found it pretty limiting. Yeah. I was like, why can't we do like video things for the web and da-da-da? And it was just always audio. And that's not really my favorite.
Got it. Me neither.
Yeah. No shame.
We talked about that before. Yeah, no shame.
But that's why I was happy. This has cameras.
Who we are.
Yeah. We like to be on camera.
That's right, damn it. Was there aspects of radio that appealed to you at all?
Yeah. You know what I really got into was editing audio and like being creative with that and just building layers of sound, and I think it brought out like the musician in me. I was like, oh, I like this part of it. So I really geeked out on that, and from there is how I started editing film. So it was a really good, I learned really good skills there.
Did you like the live aspect? I would think that would appeal to you being a stand-up comedian.
I did, except you have to understand, so I'm on a station called the Man Station.
What was the call letters there?
What were we? It was B94. It was 93.7. We took over from K-Rock, and then we only lasted.
Fan, right?
Before the Fan. So it was K-Rock, then us for 6 months. They canned us after 6 months. They were like, "No, this isn't working." John? Talk radio sticks. We had Scott Paulson. We couldn't make it.
I remember.
We could not make it work. And yeah, so we got canned after 6 months, and then it was going to be B94. And I think I can legally talk about this now. I was signed on to be part of the B94 morning show, and when it came time for contracts, the program director had brought me in, and it's so funny because I used to up until like a week ago, my hair was down to my shoulders, but at this time I had very short hair too. And the program director came in and he was like, yeah, we're not going to bring you on. B94 is just a really, at the demo are young girls, and you're just not really girly. And I think you'd be better in a city like New York or San Francisco. You're too cerebral or hip for our market. And I was like, I don't think you can say this stuff. So he says all this, I don't get the job, and then I'm like, union, I'm pretty sure. And so anyway, that was my end of radio. Wow. And I'm okay with that. Yeah, because the Man Station, I really do feel like I sold out my gender often. I mean, I was doing he had me doing sex sounds. There was Gab Bonesso's sex sounds for the summer, and it was just me literally making sex sounds for guys on 93.7 The Fan. I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I was a vocal prostitute. God help me. Dear Jesus, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I look back at a lot of my life and I'm like, ouch, well, what are you going to do? Yeah, and that was amazing being a kids performer and male teachers being like, hey, I remember you from the radio. And I'm like, no. I'd be like, Josh, you don't know what that means. It's really bad. It's really bad. So yeah, I didn't like that part of radio.
Well, I didn't expect to hear that. That was good. Oh my.
You're really easy to talk to, though.
Kudos
to you, Eric McKenna. Everybody in the world come on this show. I mean,
if
he invites you,
nothing personal. I only have so many hours of the day.
If he invites you,
I still have to sell real estate to live.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry.
Wow, that just took a whole other side. So, well, I find it funny because you've pretty much in a short period of time have ran the whole gambit. From radio to stand up and now working with children. I mean, that's let's talk about that for a second. What was the decision, or when did the decision come that you were going to do a child show?
That's a great question. So Josh and I, Josh Urbanitz from Medium Important People, he's my business partner. He and I had always known each other. We'd always really appreciate each other. I'd go see his bands. He'd come see me do stand-up.
And that band again is?
His band is Medium Important People.
That's what I thought.
But his original band was called The U, and that's the original band I was obsessed with. And so I'd known him forever. And then we started collaborating. He'd have me kind of open up for a Moip show. I'd have him or his band open up for one of my comedy parties. And we just started working together that way. And I would sing in my act, but not just goofy, like Judy Garland or Billie Holiday, really relevant acts. And all the kids love me. So he was like, you should sing with me sometime. And I'm like, I don't sing. And so long story short, it was the Christmas where Zooey Deschanel and Joseph Gordon-Levitt did What Are You Doing New Year's Eve? And it went viral. And Josh and I were both on Facebook just like, I love it when celebrities go viral. None of us no names need that or anything. And we both were like private messaging, like, what's that about? And he's like, we should do a parody of it. So for President's Day, we teamed up and he wrote a song about Abraham Lincoln's assassination.
I think I saw that.
And we sang it really cheeky like they sang. And by collaborating, like the city went nuts.
Yeah,
People were like, you two should be always singing together. And like, we were just like, why do people like us singing together? And then my best friend who was studying to be a principal, she had been bringing in all these acts to do anti-bully programming, and the kids were like sleeping through them, and they were insanely expensive. And she was like, what if you two idiots, you both need day jobs, what if you put something together? And like, so she kind of basically sponsored it and like kicked us in our butt. He and I in my mom's garage on poster board drinking Kool-Aid built this show in a month, and that's kind of how it took off. We did our first show at Montour. And then the next fall we had a gig at Elizabeth Forward, and then from there it was just word of mouth, and it just took over. And I was still doing American Eagle at the time, and that was sort of, they all kind of culminated.
You traveled. You said off camera you traveled with them.
Oh yeah, I got to do everything. So I originally saw it as an actress. It was like they were auditioning actors. It was on Twitter. I saw the ad, so I'm like, all right. I called up. I went in. When they saw my resume, they were like, hey, you seem like maybe you could also do interviewing and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah. So they basically created a position for me where I was sort of the anchor of AEO TV. And so long story short, I hosted like corporate training videos. So I taught all the kids and all the international, but they made me do it fun. So it'd be like, hey everybody. So it was like they were having it centered around my person.
Before you.
Exactly. So they were like, let's center it around your personality. So that now corporate training videos became fun. And like you'd walk in a store and I might be like, denim, or whatever on the videos. And I mean, these videos were going international. They had me dubbed in like, Korean, everything was crazy.
Right.
And so then from there, they'd have live events, and they're like, well, we got a comedian on, payroll. And I would go and host these live events. They let me do like a whole movie musical montage at one, like I was Billy Crystal at the Oscars.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just crazy. I got to do and I got an outfit for every video I shot, every event I did. So then we went on tour doing a documentary series about employees who go above and beyond at the holiday season. So we would send in undercover actors as shoppers and try to catch someone going above and beyond. And when they did, I would come in like Oprah with a $1,000 check to give them at the holidays. And then we documented that. We went all over United States and Canada. So yeah, it was really, really fun. I got to go on a helicopter above the Rocky Mountains. I got to feature for Screech in Calgary at a comedy club. Like, it was just a really cool time. Years? That was 2 years. 2 years of my life doing corporate comedy.
Did you end it? Did they change the program?
So long story short, it was getting really good with them, and they were gonna they wanted to like bring me on full time, like not even just be a freelance, and they also wanted me then to change my name to American Eagle's Gab Bonesso and kind of make my whole branding them. And I didn't think the money was as good as it should be for that. Like, I had to give up a lot, and I was going to have to give up. Now I have this Josh and Gab show that I love, and I'm working with the kids. And also simultaneously, my mother's health really began to decline. And when I say that Josh and Gab, my mother loved American Eagle, but Josh and Gab gave her a happiness like you've never seen. And I believed in it. I just felt like it was really important at the time. So I was like, goodbye, hello, and then boom. That's how that happened. That? Yeah.
It goes back to that whole thing about that you just know as a human the passion that you have for something and the passion that you don't have for something else.
Right.
And oftentimes, whether it's money or circumstances, doesn't matter.
Right.
Do you agree?
I 100% agree. And if I'm going to sell myself out for corporate America, I needed way more money than they were going to give me. So I was like, you know what? I'd rather
I get it.
Go this way. This is more me, and we're in charge. Josh and I, we're the bosses. We're the CEOs of our company. So that's
you can't put a price on that.
No, you can't. No, I mean, there are times where like obviously like. When you are a vendor, like I am, we're clients, they're supposed to pay you the day of, and it could take 30 days to 60 days, and then you're stressing, and you're explaining to Duquesne, like, don't you get it? I'm a comedian, I'm doing my best, and they don't care. But then I have friends who are like, ugh, I'm at work at 8:30, and I'm just like, yeah, I can kind of get up and go to the gym and do what I want to do and work for myself, and yeah, I'll take it over, not wearing Prada or whatever the big thing is. I don't know. I have a lot of rich friends too, so I'm always like, what's that? I don't know. I shop at Target. I have a lot of successful friends. I don't know how they do it.
It's funny too. I get that, and I love that attitude. And for me, didn't get that in the beginning, but boy, freedom over everything else, right?
Yeah,
not being
definitely.
enslaved to a desk or a boss or anything like that. Yeah,
it's the truth.
It is the truth.
It pays for itself.
And it's hard. And that's would you agree too, though? Just a little side here. Would you agree it's hard to sometimes really explain that to somebody who's never tasted it? Who's just worked 9 to 5 or a structured environment for their whole life.
Yeah, because they always say the same thing, which is like, I'd be too scared. I'd be too scared not to know. And, and my sister honestly did it for a while. She worked in the film industry in Pittsburgh, which is surprisingly pretty good.
Right.
And, but it was the same sort of thing where like, you don't get paid exactly when they say they're going to pay you. And she was like, I just can't live like that. I need to know.
Everybody.
Yeah. And it really isn't.
But I always thought if you had a passion for something, and you put that passion to the forefront, and you have to be a risk taker. Would you not agree?
Oh, definitely.
But if that passion can drive you, you can do anything.
Yeah, it's true. Just believe in yourself. Really believe. You have to kind of,
you got to
commit. You got to commit to you.
I think you're right. And again, I'm not saying that entrepreneurship is for everybody, but boy, that freedom is good.
Yeah, I definitely think if you can do it, do it.
So you create this show for children. Your mother has become ill, How long were you her caregiver?
So 2009 was the first carotid surgery. She bounced back pretty well, but around that time it started being where like, during Sunday dinner, she might not be able to make it through the whole process. So she'd sit down, my sister and I would finish dinner or, little things like that. And around 2011 is when she started having leg issues that we foolishly thought were 100% hip related. So around that time, she couldn't really get up comfortably and make breakfast anymore. So that's when it started where I was like, I'd have to get up and get her pills in the morning, get her started for her day. And at this point, I think I'm the only one now living at home with her. So that's where that started. So then the hip surgery happens 2012. That has a lot of complications, involves some wound care. That's where I come in on all that. 2013, now we realize it wasn't really the hip. It was from the carotid artery. Now it's her femoral artery is completely blocked. So they're going to pull her femoral artery out of her leg and put a fake one in. And so that has complications. She gets infections, and I'm doing wound care on all that. We're going through rehab. We're going to doctor's appointments. I mean, honestly, like 5 days a week. And from that, once you have vascular problems, you are kind of seeing a vascular surgeon almost weekly. She had diabetes. We're going for, so it was a lot of that. And then at the end of 2014, she started getting bad again. Like you could tell, like the surgery wasn't working now.
Right.
And she injured her toe and it went black. And now it's like, oh, crap. And instead of just amputating it, the doctor was like, you know what? I think she can handle another big surgery. So they wanted to take a vein from her leg that was good and put it in the bad leg as an artery. Well, because of her diabetes, she couldn't heal from when they pull out the vein, it's literally a wound from your ankle to your groin. And she just could not heal. So for a solid year, I was doing twice a day wound cleaning on that wound specifically, which was awful. They had her on so many blood thinners, so she was having chronic nosebleeds that were almost killing her. I mean, it was a horror story. That's last year was really like I do sometimes think about writing a horror film where you think it's a horror film the whole time and you realize it's just an American patient in an American hospital just dealing with Medicare and
Medicare is a horror story.
Oh yeah, it's its own horror. I mean, the amount of times they kicked her out and that's why she had infections. She ultimately died of an infection. Like my best friend's mom just died of an infection. It's kind of creepy. I know a lot of people dying of sepsis. It's just and they over prescribe antibiotics. So I don't know. I don't take them because I have a stomach ulcer, so hopefully that'll save my life, my bleeding ulcer.
Understood.
Yeah.
So she passes in 2015,
November of 2015. So the surgery is January of 2015. She dies November of 2015 after the biggest battle I've ever seen someone give, like hardcore.
I bet.
Rocky Balboa level, like.
So.
And my dad had died while I was in college, so. Now at 35, I'm an orphan, and that's where we are. Yeah. Understood. So, through the grieving process, did you use your work to get through that? I was sort of like, I need to throw myself back into comedy, and so that's how I sat down with Jeff Benton from Misra, and we were like, why don't we do an album? Maybe this is the time. And so we started, talking about it, planning it, getting ready to record it. And we're going to do that, it's about a year after.
Right.
So the beginning of, So in 2016, we started talking about it. So we're supposed to record it in the very beginning of 2017. And on Christmas Eve of 2016, my one brother dies of a drug overdose and kind of sets everything back.
Sure.
Back forward. My brother Pep's death, I say, was the one that kind of, I'm still like not sure. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a sibling is way different just because it's like, wait a minute. Hey, no, we're the generation that lives.
We share that same story.
Oh, really?
We share that same
God.
story. Mm-hmm.
God. And I and after losing my mom, and I was just so mad at him. I the Thanksgiving before, the 1 month before he had died, he was so high on drugs, and I was so mad at him, and I was just like, why is he doing this to us? We just lost mom. I literally journaled. I'm like, if he doesn't pull it together, he'll be dead in a month. He was dead in a month. So it was just that one. And so now I'm doing this album, and we can't get out of it because we've already procured the Warhol for the release. So it's like, you have to do this. There's no way you can get out. I wish I didn't. If I could go back, I'd do it all over. Well, I do a lot of things over again on that, but that's why there's second albums and third, so I'm not stressing. Right. But yeah, so it was just a very difficult time, and then doing that album. And I
saw an interview you did with, I think, was it Pittsburgh Today Live?
Yeah.
And they were lamenting about how dark the record was, and you were very eloquent in the way you described all that. I thought it was some heavy stuff to explain, and I guess it was very, very raw then. It was 2017.
Yeah, it was right then. Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah,
do you find it easy to find humor in sadness, or typically we look at sad things, or maybe even I don't know. You mentioned about a wound care you had to do for your mother, and then you said I could write a comedy or a book about this.
Yeah.
Meaning, can you find some way to divert the sadness away through comedy?
There were times when I would be doing the wound care. I mean, you have to understand, my mother is convulsing, asking me to stop, so we would chill for a minute.
Right.
We'd calm down, we'd look at each other, and I'd go, hey, Mom, and pretend like I'm pulling ribbon out of her wound, right? And she'd start, and she's like, you're so sick. And we'd be laughing just to get through it. When I say I think in cartoon, I'd be thinking that the whole time I'm doing wound care, you're not a clown, do not pull this ribbon out of your mom's leg. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of do, it's like my, I think very early on as a little kid, I went through a trauma, and I think my brain, that's sort of myself, that's why I think it goes to cartoon, that's my defense mechanism.
Like a coping mechanism.
Yeah, when things get too hard, I just go right to cartoon, and then everything's okay again. And so yeah, I do think it's kind of a necessary for me. In my family, I think we all, my mom was a product of trauma, and they say that's inherited, and I think that's true. And I think we always had to find humor in the darkness, because there was always some level of darkness going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a guest on this show, author and attorney here in Pittsburgh. I don't know if you know him. It's Rocco Koza. And Rocco wrote a book where he said that we spend a lot of time as humans trying to avoid or dissipate, or maybe even kind of non-acknowledge the darkness. And his argument is you need to embrace that like you embrace the light, in a metaphoric way. But if you don't embrace it and deal with it and try to understand it, you'll never get through it. Do you find any validity in that?
I really agree with that. I mean, I think sometimes I tend to go a little too, I'm always
you just find comedy material from it.
Yeah, I do. And I really like to dig deep. You know what I mean? I'm upset, because of all my diagnoses and mental health issues. I mean, I would say I think about my brain and what got me here all the time. I think about I really am I over obsess on every detail of my life that led me to this and where I am and blah, blah, blah. So it's this just puzzle I'm always trying to figure out, that is my wacky brain. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's the darkness is, for me, I had a therapist who once said you have to make friends with grief. You have to be friends with it. Because it's never going away. And if the minute you start thinking it's going to go away, it's going to kick you again. So just know it's always with you. Hang out with it. And, and I've been death obsessed since I was little. So, I mean,
what does that mean?
When I was really little, I had a cousin, a third cousin, who we were the exact same age, and he passed away at 2. He just stopped breathing in his crib. And so as a 2-year-old, I'm hearing about this. Then my daycare, where my Italian grandma and grandpap, who his grandma was my grandma's sister-in-law and best friend, so they would talk about this baby dying all the time in front of me. So I would ask questions, and then they would tell me, "Oh, well, when you get to die, you'll be playing with little Nikki. Like this will be this."
Were they Catholic?
Very
'Cause
Catholic.
that's what Catholics do.
Oh, they do that, and then I would come home and play death.
They obsess about guilt and death.
Yep. And my mom's like, "What are you doing? And who are you playing with?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm playing when I die, and I get to play with my cousin." And she's like, "Oh, no." So like it was kind of the beginning of that, and then my mom did that prayer, "When I lay you down to sleep, lay my soul to keep, if I should die before I wake." And when she said, "If I shall die before I wake," I lost it. I mean, I wigged out. I'm like, "What aren't you telling me?" You know, like I really was sure it was the end. So like I was just always ready to die as a little kid. And then when I was in 7th grade, I had 3 grandparents die back to back to back.
Oh my gosh.
And I missed all this school, and that's when they were like, "She should be in therapy." I also had a tumor on my head. There was a lot happening in 7th grade. Middle school. So yeah. School. It's wonder why my me doing Buffalo Bill impersonations was the big thing. Yeah. So yeah, I guess it's hard not to focus on the darkness because there's been a lot of it, but there's been a lot of light also. Like I really, my childhood was nuts, but I mean, I look back at it 100% fondly. I don't look back and I'm like, "Oh no, this trauma happened," and then it's like, "No, man, I got to live on a dead end in Robinson and play with my best friends every single day, and my mom let me be a kid, and it was just awesome." Like I that's what I remember. I don't remember the bad.
It's a good outlook to have.
Yeah.
I think, and it's would you not agree? It's just looking and trying to embrace the positivity as the main memory.
Yeah, exactly. Like obviously I don't deny the dark. I plan on writing an entire book about most of it, but it's just I just think, but I also think why I like talking about the dark and making light of it and showing people that I'm getting through these things that maybe other people have a real hard time getting through is to make them know they're not alone. And like if they do go through it, it's like, well, wait a minute, okay, like Gab's mom was her best friend, her whole world, and here she is, she's making it. I mean, it was her other, and she's still going and trying to make people happy and giving it her best shot. And I just want to be that kind of reminder.
Have you ever sat? I can't imagine you ever just sitting and just contemplating. You're just like,
yeah.
But have you ever sat and contemplated on the concept of laughter? Do you have your own personal definition of what it is and its level of importance?
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, I think laughter, for me is like, I don't want to be like weird here, but I honestly, I put laughter up there with like, sex, truly. Like, I think like it's a release that people need to do. I mean, when people don't have sex, it doesn't really work out for priests, does it? So you see what happens, right? And if
apparently not.
It's not working out. Catholic Church, please save yourself. And,
oh my gosh.
And when you don't laugh, I think it really takes a toll on your overall health and your mental state and your well-being. Sometimes when I'm going through something so hard, it is like something so moronic or even something like it could be bad luck that just hits me in a way that I'm laughing that it saves my life. Like it literally, I've known times where a laugh could save my life, like because my brain is going so dark, but then something happens and I'm like, thank you, G. And it's usually something I always think like one of my dead relatives. I'm like, Mom, you knew I was getting that dark. Thank you. God bless you. Or something like that. Oh, I'm very spiritual for a wackadude. Well, I think when you are a wackadude, you kind of have to be. Like when all your family's dead and you suffer from manic depression, like if you don't believe there's another world, you're not going to make it.
If you start seeing spirits and things, that's a whole different story.
I'm not going to say if that's true or not. Guys, #truth. #visual and auditory hallucinations are a thing.
When you look back at your career, your career and your life, who were the... Everybody says, "Oh, who were your mentors? Who were the people you admired?" I would really want to know, even if you didn't admire them or didn't want to emulate them, who were the comedians that you really liked? Who did you find fucking funny?
Yeah, who like was I obsessed with and stuff?
Yeah.
As a little girl, I think everyone, Robin Williams. He just was just and it's because his mania too. Like I didn't realize he was doing cocaine. I thought he was like me, so I was like, "Hey, we're the same kind of person." Wound up. I loved everything. One of the first movies I saw as a little kid, and my parents had no rules on film watching, so I saw The Godfather at 3, but the World According to Garp.
Oh my gosh.
Was my favorite movie when I was 5.
That movie scarred me probably as a 15-year-old.
The World According to Garp? Oh my God, like 5 years old, and I'm quoting it. I'm like, I know about the Ellen James Society. I'm 5, man. Yeah, like I have loved him from his like serious roles to his like comedy roles. Like he's like totally my favorite. As a little kid also, my pap and I, we watched all the Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor movies. We were like, I mean, those killed me. Loved them.
The train movie they had. Train, there was a train. Oh, was that good?
The Hear No Evil, See No Evil.
No,
then they had...
They were on a train.
What the heck was that one called? Crap.
It'll come to us.
Yeah, but I love those movies. Abbott and Costello, I was a huge fan of, especially the movie monster ones.
What the Three Stooges?
I love Three Stooges.
They're violent.
And I had a 6th grade teacher who was disappointed in me. I talked about liking the Three Stooges, and she's like, Gabby, I just feel like you're too witty for that. And I'm like, I'm in 6th grade. If someone falls on a banana peel, I'm laughing, yo.
Or poking each other's eyes out, or hitting them with that ball peen hammer.
Exactly. I love that stuff. I mean, and honestly, like truly, I always say my biggest comedic influence is Daffy Duck, like without a doubt. That guy I relate to. I'm not Bugs. I'm Daffy, man. I'm always trying too hard. I'm always mad at myself. I'm always mad at the world. I'm always just, I'm just a spaz. I'm definitely, I just, although people around me would be like, that is not you. You are this person. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm this person. I always like, I don't know.
Did you ever feel bad for the coyote?
Yeah, I did kind of, because I don't like Roadrunner. I prefer the coyote, to be honest.
And he just always gets the shaft.
Oh, he's horrible. I mean, he's just and Roadrunner
never wins.
sucks.
That's a bad lesson for kids, right? The coyote never won.
He was trying to kill people, right?
Oh,
it's always dynamite.
He was trying to kill the bird.
Right.
Or whatever that thing
Roadrunner.
was. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Ostrich. What are they?
I guess he's an ostrich. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. At one time, wouldn't you just want to see him get that damn thing and just grab it by the neck and shake the hell out of it and the feathers go flying just so he wins one time?
That would be kind of awesome. You could write it as fan fiction and maybe find someone who could do it for you.
I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah, it probably is. Someone will be like, that already happened.
Robin Williams, though, back to him, it was amazing because of just the overall talent. You couldn't pigeonhole into one thing. His stand-up was amazing. His acting was amazing. And then you go hear him eloquently speak with little bits of humor thrown in there, but he could really speak. And I think people don't realize how good of a speaker he was.
Yeah, no, he was the whole package. He's truly like, I was devastated when he died.
Was he like a savant, though? Because where was his, do you know anything about his academic or lack of academic?
Well, he went to Juilliard for acting, so he was definitely.
There wasn't any lack then. I have no idea about his background because he's so articulate and polished when he has to be. Like he can turn it on in a second.
Oh yeah, like he came from money, but I think no attention. He was just very neglected as a kid, and that's why he. And I think from what I've heard, he was just very. They never say he was a manic depressive. They always say he was just a depressive, which I'm like, all right, okay, I'll believe it. Okay, he seems pretty manic to me, but yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of his truth, like everybody, came in a lot of pain, and I loved him with Billy Crystal. Together they were a great duo. Walter Matthau, George Lemon. Am I saying that right? John Lemon. No. Why am I having a mini stroke, Gab? That's so scary.
No, I don't even know the guy's first name.
Carotids. Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau. Wow, that scared me. That got crazy.
I didn't know right away.
I really was like, your synapses have frozen. Someone get a doctor. Smile. Put your hands up. Okay, I'm all right.
Mixed up in there.
Yeah, no, we're fine. We're fine. No one has had a mini stroke. I know the signs, guys. My hobby is medicine. I got this.
You like Carlin?
Carlin, everyone always like with me. They're always like, I don't know why I'm like with me, but they're always like, you have to love Carlin. He's your guy, and I'm like, I don't see similarities. I haven't seen a lot. I have not seen a lot of Carlin. No, I guess my parents they might have watched it, but I wasn't in the room. I don't know. I just never got into it. Never made a point to get into it.
Well, your deliveries are quite different. I don't know, so I wouldn't see that correlation.
Yeah,
I thought his material was pretty damn well written, though. As a fan, I mean, his delivery was okay. But yeah, he was something else. You always say Pryor. What do you think of Eddie Murphy?
Growing up, I mean the SNL Eddie Murphy, I was I don't think my parents let me see all the Raw and all that jazz, but maybe I did. I really liked him, though. I mean, I really liked Eddie Murphy. All of his stuff on SNL was like my favorite when I got to see the reruns, and I liked his movies. I didn't really like get into it as like in the 90s, like when I was in middle school and stuff. Like I didn't really like Nutty Professor, all that stuff.
Yeah, he went real like light.
Little too family friendly, like because by that time I'm like
What's
ready.
the one he had that he was like wasn't he like a superhero or something or? That might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know. I
That's
prefer
up there
like
with Ishtar.
Like Coming to America, and those movies were way better.
Yeah, well, I think his material.
Trading Places. That's one of my
Places.
favorites. Like, yeah,
that kind of him and Aykroyd were. Pretty good in there. Aykroyd playing the straight guy.
Yeah, definitely. My older brothers loved that movie, so it was always on in our house. And like I said, I never had censorship on TV, so I got to see everything. Yeah.
Were you into Martin Lawrence?
Not really into Martin Lawrence, no. No. All the kids in middle school loved Martin, and I just was like, I don't know. I'm getting into Truman Capote books. I just wasn't. I was always a weirdo. I just always was. Like, I really loved old movies. Like, as a little kid, still. At 16 years old, I wrote Katharine Hepburn a letter, and she wrote me back, and it's still the highlight of my life.
That?
Yeah, like
How about that?
Old movies were my thing, and
she wrote you back. Talk
she wrote
about
me
that.
back.
That's a story. What's going on there?
Oh well, very little. I think that was I like 6? It was a rainy day, and as a manic, my mother would always get scared on rainy days because I couldn't go outside. So she's like, "Oh boy, gotta find something for her to do." And she.
Why? I can't.
You don't know why?
I don't know why.
My poor mother. God rest her soul. So the African Queen was just starting, and I'm like, "What's this?" And she was like, "You'd love this movie, baby." And I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, settle down. I'll make us some tea and toast. Like, you should always make an event." And so I was like, "Okay." And we watched it, and I just fell in love with Katharine Hepburn. Now the next, I guess this was like when the movie channel would do like old movies on weekends. So like the next week, Father's Little Dividend is on with Spencer Tracy, and we watch it together, and I'm like, I love him almost as much as I love that lady from the last movie. And my mom's like, well, funny enough, and she didn't know her facts. Mom, she was like, I think they either dated or were married. They worked in a lot of movies together, Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, and that was all it took. I was like, wait, what? Those two that I pointed out were now I have to see everything. And so then my mother would, anytime there was a Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn film, she would record it on our VHS, and she'd be like, baby, I got you Woman of the Year. And I'd watch it. I'm like, and then I've got every book about Katharine Hepburn. And then I'm like, this is why I think multiple therapists are always testing me to see if I'm on the spectrum, because they're just like, I was very like, Katharine Hepburn, 1907, Hartford, Connecticut. Like I would just like spit out these facts, and like, yeah, that was like my identity, like from 8 to high school. Like people be like, she's the Katharine Hepburn girl. Just watch out. She's yeah. So I wrote her, just told her everything, that she and Mr. Tracy were my favorite stars of all time.
I'm just shocked that it got to her, number one, the randomness of it all, right? And then she actually wrote
and she wrote me back, and it was on Katharine Houghton Hepburn, like stationery. When she wrote it in March, and instead of writing 3, she did Roman numeral 3. Like her handwriting had the crazy shake at the end because she was already having like the shakes by then. It's incredible. I have it framed in my house. Yeah.
What does it say?
It just says, "Dear Gabby Bonesso, thank you so much for your letter. Good luck to you in your future. Love, Katharine." Not love, from Katharine Hepburn. And and to me, I'm like,
that's amazing.
I'm just like, she wished me good luck. Like I'm good. And I met Woody Allen. Like I've had some like luck meeting my heroes or like interacting with them on some level. So
Woody Allen.
I stalked Woody. That's how I met him. I went,
why am I not surprised?
I stalked Woody Allen, and I met Woody Allen, and everyone in New York at the Carlisle Hotel was like, "Don't do it. He hates people coming up to him. Do not do it." And I was like, and I'm like 19. I'm like, but he's my favorite movie star. Like, do not. And he finished his jazz set, left. He was leaving early. He was supposed to continue playing. I was in New York for the first time with my sister, and I was like, I'm going to go try to find him. And I ran out, and there he was walking, and I just started walking backwards, and I'm like, Mr. Allen, I don't want to bother you, and I know you hate being bothered, but I just need you to know that I love you more than any other filmmaker in the entire world. Like, some people worship God. I worship you, and I know that's weird to say, but I just needed to say it. Okay, bye. And like, that was literally it. And he was like, thank you very much. And I was like, oh my God. And so then I'm just standing on the corner like, Woody Allen talked to me, Woody Allen talked to me, Woody Allen talked to me. And he just started cracking up. He's like, seriously, calm down. Thank you very much. And he got in his car. I'm like, I made him laugh. And then I like ran back into the Carlisle and told everybody.
How cool is that, though?
Oh, it was so cool. It was so cool.
That is so cool.
So very cool, yeah. I mean, later that night, we found out my father's cancer spread. But what I'm saying is, it was a good night, and then it turned quickly. The root beer float I had turned in my tum-tums after I got that news. But yeah, it was really fun for a minute.
Oh.
And that's life, kids. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, your best moments are usually surrounded by some weird ones too.
I'm going to embarrass you for a second.
Go for it.
You have won Best Pittsburgh Comedian by the City Paper and Pittsburgh Magazine multiple times.
I don't know how. I'm not sure how that happened.
And you also were if I'm not mistaken, in 2000, from 2010 to 2015, you were voted Best Caregiver by Mom.
Yes, I was. Thanks, Mom. Oh.
Hey, it's a special award.
It is. It's my favorite. It's my favorite award.
I'm sure it is too. But when you were informed by that, are you the type of person that would like take a moment and say, no, not your mother's award, which is more personal? I get that, but I'm saying like you notified by the City Paper or Pittsburgh Magazine that you won. Were you able to sit back even for a moment and reflect and just I don't know, enjoy the moment for a second? Or do you not put any stock in that stuff at all?
Well, one, I don't really put. I hate saying that, and it makes me feel badly, but I don't, because generally the year that I win the award will be my worst year in comedy locally. It'll always be my worst year in comedy locally. I just feel like everyone's like, oh, she's getting too high and mighty again, or just whatever. This town likes, not this town, but the comedy community likes me best when I'm just like, I don't value myself. No, you're all the funny ones. And then they're like, yeah, I'll put Gab on a show. Otherwise, I'm left to my own devices. So
really?
I truly hate the years I win, because I feel like, great, the bullying is going to get bad again. Everyone will explain why I shouldn't have won. Now I'm not a real comedian. Let's have the hate Gab narrative begin. I hate it. I lose.
Really?
I go right into a panic attack every time. From the first time it was bad to like the last time. I was like, no. All my friends were excited. They're like, this is perfect timing. Your album just came out.
Right.
Like, no. It's gonna be really bad. It's gonna be really bad. Really bad. Really bad. You guys you don't trust me. It's gonna be really bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go down the bullying path for a second and why you're so passionate about it. First off, I have been blessed on this show in our first year to have multiple people who have done Tedx talks. That means the world to me, because that's an organization. I want to talk a little bit about how that happened for you too, so I can explain the process, because I think people are still, they know what TED is and when they know what TEDx is, but I don't think a lot of people understand the process of how you're either invited or how you pursue it, because you can do either, I think, right?
Yeah. They came. I was invited.
I know. That's pretty impressive. So, we'll get to the TED Talk in a second, but talk about the bullying and why you chose that topic for your TEDx talk.
I had been doing my work with Josh and Gab.
Right.
We had been, I think we were maybe in our third full year, maybe our fourth full year, when I was invited to come speak on it.
Is the bullying thing the centerpiece of the work you do with him, or do you touch on other subjects too?
We do touch on other subjects, but more like choices, like choosing to be kind or choosing not to say something negative when you could, or something like that. And I've teamed up with Reading is Fundamental, so I do reading programs as well. But for the most part, even when I'm doing the other stuff, I'm always putting an anti-bully agenda. I even put in my adult stand-up at this point. But it was something I was always really passionate about for a multitude of reasons. But I remember when the Dan Savage movement came out, It Gets Better, and it really offended me, because I felt that it was very narrow thinking. Like, it was very geared to kids in the LGBTQIA community, and not really to kids that suffer from mental health issues, which I think is also a big part of the community that takes their own lives when it comes to bullying. And I remember at the time writing a blog about it and just saying, like, when you have mental health issues, it doesn't necessarily get better. Your bipolar doesn't get better. Like, you and how you deal with bipolar.
So that's the wrong message you were sending.
I felt it was a wrong message for kids who, Rob Williams was 64 when he committed suicide. Did it get better for him?
Apparently not.
So, I just think it's really, I do think in the LGBTQIA community, it can get better once you come out and you're around so yes, I think that message is perfect there, but not for all anti-bullying. And right then I just thought, like, we need someone who can go and talk to every kid, like talk about every part of this and show them you can survive bullying by telling them this happened to me and here's where I am now. So I just thought it would be better that way. So when Josh and I worked together, my best friend was like, hey, you got bullied. What if you two teamed up on something like valid and like, tried this? And the only way I know how to write is from my own person. So I am very revealing to the kids. They know from the first time I got bullied in school to I will tell them everything, to what really culminated as the worst bullying that I think is the closest I got to not suicide, but definitely severe depression, which was in high school. That was
Talk about that.
So when I was in as a kid, very manic, my mom knew right away get her involved in sports. So one of the sports that I was initially involved in is Montour Youth Soccer Association. I played soccer since I was 5 years old, and I loved it. I was a natural, and back then, there weren't a lot of girls who played, so it was often me with all boys, and I was playing at a level with a lot of the boys. My friends were boys. It just was, and it was my release. It was the thing that truly, it was my comedy. Soccer was comedy first.
Okay.
So I'm playing it my whole life. I get to high school, and now I'm the only girl really on the team that has experience and has been playing with the boys. And truthfully, if I could go back in time, I think I would have tried to fight to be on the boys team, but too late. So I'm immediately put on the varsity team. I'm immediately a starter. I'm 14 years old, and there is a girl who is a sophomore who had kind of been the better player the prior year, who immediately is just like, what is this? Who is this? And she's very mean to me, and her friends are very mean to me. But I can deal with it because the seniors, they look out for me. They're like, she's a starter. Leave her alone. Next year, I'm a sophomore. Things start going really well. I make the honorable mention for the all-star team, which is only seniors play on.
Right.
My parents get this letter that I'm invited to come to Europe and play for the whole summer. Things are just going really well. I make a cup team. I'm just really advancing. This girl, it's getting worse with this girl, but the seniors once again are looking out for me and kind of keep me going. But I'm not having fun, and I'm starting to not like it a lot. Now, my junior year, this girl and her cronies are the seniors. I have no one looking out for me, and it's just getting bad. And now I'm coming home from soccer practice, and I'm sleeping to dinner, and then coming after dinner going right back to sleep. And I suddenly don't want to have soccer posters on my wall anymore, and I'm getting rid of all my soccer ornaments, and something is going on because this is my favorite thing in the world. And so I tell my mom, and she's like, well, you need to talk to your coach. So we have a mediation. It's all the senior girls and me. And the coach is like, what's going on? And this mean girl, basically, just the first thing she says is, we hate Gab. Just like that. We hate Gab. And I'm like, wait, what? Why would you even hate me? I can't even fathom. Sorry, I don't want to cry. But I can't even fathom, what I had done to hate me.
Right.
I'd never said anything mean. I just played the best I could. I was just a team, and at that point I just turned to the coach and I was like, I don't want to be on the team anymore. I don't want to be on a team with people who hate me. There's no point. I'm ruining it for them. This is supposed to be a team thing, so I'm out. And he talked me into just dropping down to JV, even though I had never played JV. So now I'm the one being bullied, and I'm the one now being demoted. But because I love soccer, I was like, okay, I'll do it.
That was the wrong message, though, right?
Oh, total. He did not.
Wrong message.
And when you look back, though, I look back and I'm like, that guy was probably 25 years old. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's probably making $6,000 to coach the high school soccer team. What the heck did he care? So now I'm on JV, and it's a joke. I play a game, and it's literally Olympian against people who've never played. But I scored 12 goals in 4 minutes. They're like, all right, get her out. We got to bring her back to varsity. Now the seniors are jumping off the bench, you can't bring her back. It was literally a fight on the sidelines. My mother is witnessing all of this, and she's like, that's it, we're done. And so she says, I'm off the team. My mom comes down and says she's done. We're not doing this anymore. My junior year, the year that the scouts are going to be, I just blow.
Of course, right.
So, long story short, though, when we were leaving, the assistant JV coach was talking smack on my mom and me, and my mom, let her have it in the parking lot, to the point that, everyone were in, the buses just oh my God, go Mrs. Bonesso. She literally called the woman a trash bag. I'll never forget it.
Trash
Yeah, she was like, hey, trash bag. And we were like, what does that even mean? She was like, what's your name, Lynn? Trash bag, turn around. Just like that. My mom would be so mad I imitated her that way, too. Sorry, Mom. Yeah, but she really did. She called her trash bag. So I've told kids that. When I do my mental health talk, I tell that story,
funny.
And kids will be like, tell this trash bag story again. I'm like, guys, you're missing the point. I was bullied. But yeah, so so that was truly just and I let this mean group of girls, but specifically this one girl, take my favorite thing. It was soccer. I let her have it.
It's almost theft.
Yeah, and I went back my senior year, but it wasn't the same. And I played goalie because we needed a goalie, and I was like, I'll do it. Who cares? And I just took it very I just wanted to have fun. I said that to my parents. I'm like, we're done with this being serious. This is now just fun or nothing.
Right.
But yeah, it is a bummer to me. And I mean, the first time I got drunk in college, I apparently cried about soccer. I was like, you don't understand. I was going to be an Olympian, and I didn't know anything. The next day, everyone's like, hey, we didn't realize you were Pele. And I'm like, what? And they're like, and I'm like, oh God, like I had no idea how like painful I had repressed this in the back of my head. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think my dad thought I'd like walk on to Duquesne, and I might have, but he got cancer really quick from the minute I started college, and I was just like,
It wasn't in the cards. You were just done.
I'm done. I just want to do, and then I found acting, and it was just like, get out of my way. Yeah.
You made a comment too, which I had never thought about, and I want to mention that to you. You said that a form of bullying is also exclusion.
Yeah. Like,
and that's
purposeful.
really, that was so heavy, I had to really sit and contemplate that. So I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, I definitely remember that from like elementary school.
I think probably we all do.
We all do.
I know I do.
If you just didn't fit in with that type of crowd or whatever it was, and for me being a tomboy, I think a lot of times girls would have like girly sleepovers and not even consider inviting me. Now they shouldn't have, because I couldn't even sleep over my best friend's house, who was across the street, because I didn't like being away from my mommy because I was a nut. But the point is, the invite would have been nice. I always say invite the kids you don't want to invite, because they're probably not going to come. They don't want to.
And then you save face.
Yeah, exactly. Just be a decent human, invite them, and then they're not going to come. Trust me. So yeah, but I do find exclusion very, very bad. I'm very, very, and I think adults do. I talk about my TED Talk because how many times do you hear about people at work who are like, I hate Donna. She's the worst. Don't invite her to lunch. We're all going to go to lunch, but don't tell Donna. You're not allowed to do that in school. That is bullying. You would be in trouble. But then you're at home telling the story. Your kids hear it. What's the point of me singing songs about it? If you're teaching your kids the wrong lesson.
It happens in gym class generally when they pick teams. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know how
That's
I don't know how
cruel,
they
yeah.
do it today. Do they still do that today? Probably not.
I wonder. I was lucky. My gym teacher loved me, so I always got to pick teams. So I was always,
Yeah, I used to want to be one of those last couple kids standing there when they go back and forth, and
that's the
was.
worst.
And some, I could do some things, and some things I couldn't do. So it was basketball. I was probably like next to the last kid getting picked.
Yeah, I
remember that as a kid.
That's I remember, because sports were my thing, that I was always relieved, like, oh, this is one I don't have to worry about. All right, this one I'm going to be okay. Sports, got this. Oh no, but a school dance, no boy will ask me, and then I'd be depressed. But then it was always like, I did get asked, but it was always by the boys who no one wanted to be asked by. That was my first dance with two boys that definitely I know everyone, like one was like I think he went to prison in that school year. Like they were like, yeah, he's going to Schumann, and he was like, want to dance? And I'm like, okay. No one else asked. But the first boy to ask me to dance at a 6th grade dance was my 6th grade science teacher.
Oh my God.
He literally came in, asked me to dance, and left. Everyone's like, what was that about? I'm like, I have no idea, but I don't mind it. That was the beginning of me liking older men. I was like, I'm okay with that. That's fine. It's better than the prison kid, so I'm fine with it.
Prison kid.
Now the other kid lost a finger in wood shop. You know what I mean? Like these were my pickings at the time. I had a 50-year-old man.
You had 9 digits, and then you had...
I had Schumann, 9 digits, and my science teacher. That was it.
All right, so on this... I promise I wasn't going to do this. Okay. Yeah. So on your TED Talk, how did it come about? How did you find out they invited you?
This is kind of funny. My business partner Josh didn't really know what it was, so he knew.
Shame on you, Josh.
He knew my mother was not doing well, so he was like, you know what, this is a good time for Gabby, and he just brushed it off. And I never go into our company email, but I just happened to, and I was like,
wow.
Whoa. And I'm like, hey Josh, that's a TED Talk. He's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, that's a big deal. I want to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and call them. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, it's fine. I'll take care of it. And so I was like, yeah, I do want to do it. I do want to do it. I'll figure it out. Like, I know I'm dealing with this, but I'm going to figure it out.
Absolutely.
And so, honestly, the day of the TED Talk, I actually had to leave to go do wound care and come back to the events. That is a real thing. But anyway,
how's the process work? Explain how that happens.
So they invite you, and then you meet. You have a general meeting where they explain basically how it's all going to go down. And at that meeting, they assign everybody a mentor who has either been someone who has done a TED Talk, or that's someone in the community that is known for writing or some sort, is a professional writer of some type. And then you meet again with your little group of people. So they'll break us down into groups of 4, and we would meet with our mentor, and there we would kind of pitch our ideas. Now, right away they invited me because of anti-bullying, but early on I just was like, I want to talk about it for adults. I don't want to talk about it for kids. I want this to be I'm teaching adults, because I think that's where the big problem lies. I don't think it's with the kids. I think kids are on board. I think it's their parents that are I'll tell you who to be friends with. You punch them in the face, or whatever. And it's just like, okay, Dad, like your kids aren't in charge of themselves.
I had some friends when I was growing up. That was their parents' idea of how you dealt with bullying.
Oh my God, you pick up a brick and you bash them in the head. Yeah, no, that was my grandpa. Yeah, no, I know. I mean, it's like, so you like, you know what I mean? So I think it has to be adults who we send the message to first and foremost, and then kids. But so when I had pitched that to them, they were like, that's a good idea. Why don't we go with that? And then you would write your speech, and then the night before, we all have to do them in front of everybody. So they would take us to dinner, and we would all be in this restaurant for the first time. And I remember Josie Badger, I don't know if you saw hers. She's I think she's CP. She definitely, she's, can't move her legs. She can move her hands, and she advocates for disability. She is one of the most I
need to see that one.
Oh, she the minute she started, I'm like, okay, so mine's gonna suck. She's like, as you can tell by looking at me, I'm a type A person. And you laugh, and then she goes on and explains that she was valedictorian. She was, graduated cum laude. You're just like, wait, what? She's met Bill Clinton. You're just like, what? Why am I on the same stage with her? I was on the same stage with Dr. Jim Withers, who created street medicine.
He was on my show. I had Dr. Jim about 4 weeks ago.
He's a CNN hero.
He's incredible. I was honored he came on. I couldn't believe it.
Neither of us are worthy to be near Dr. Jim.
You need to go watch that show. That was a great show.
I am going to watch that because Dr. Jim is he's my hero. He's my hero.
It's been extremely well received, that show as well. So I can't wait to have him come back.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, he's truly I was like, I'm not worthy. I'm not. But Dr. Jim, he had never talked, so he was like, I don't have what you so we were all bonding and becoming friends, and so we all have dinner, we all do our speeches, and then the next day is intense. It's just it's a long day, and it's just I don't know. I watched somebody who all their cues got messed up. I saw somebody who just forgot what they're saying in the middle of their speech. I mean, it can be real, because a lot of these people have never. I was lucky. I'm a public speaker, so that part was not the scary part. It was
Was there any? Do you have a teleprompter?
I didn't want a teleprompter, I didn't want any slides. I was like, nope, I'm just going to do it. Just let me do it.
Yeah.
I just want to see what happens if I just do it.
I thought, as I said off camera, the delivery is fantastic. The message was great too, and the message was directed at adults. And the story that you told was, I'm going to let you tell it, but it basically was you encountered a circumstance of bullying as you were driving.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. I was going to an anti-bully gig at a park.
Go figure.
In the north side, and I'm driving up. I can't remember the name of the road, and it's right by Perrysville Avenue. I think it is Perrysville Avenue, actually. And I could see up in the distance 3 or 4 boys who looked like 12 or 13, and they were around something. And then as I'm getting closer, I realized they're around a boy that looks about 6, and they're punching him, and they were kneeing him in the stomach. And as I'm getting closer, they're literally ripping his shirt off his body. And I'm not sure what is happening, if he's being robbed, if he's just being picked on. And like an idiot, I just pull over to the side of the road, leaving my car running, leaving my wallet and purse on the front seat, the door wide open, and I just run out. I'm like, get away from him, get away from him, what are you doing? You're bullying him, get off of him. And they immediately turn around and start calling me every name in the book, and they're like coming at me, and I'm just like, I don't care. Like, say what you want. You're like beating up a little kid. And while I'm like egging them on, he gets his stuff and runs. And so once I realize he's safe, I'm just like, whatever, he's gone, he's free, I saved him, I win, bullies, bye. And then as I'm turning around, I see all these older people just sitting on stoops that were watching the whole thing go down, and they didn't even once try to help or stop. Mm-hmm. And now I'm just like, I just lose it, because I'm like, this is my point. Like, it's adults. Adults are the problem. No one's listening to me. And I just start screaming at them, like, what is wrong with you? Why would you just sit there and watch this? Why wouldn't you intervene? Why wouldn't you help him? Right. He's a little boy. And like, I got back in my car, and I'm like, oh no, well, oh my God, my mom's gonna kill me when I tell her this happened. I'm in so much trouble. I mean, I'm like 30. I'm like, I'm in so much trouble. This is gonna be so bad when I get. I told John, I'm like, I think we're gonna lose our career. I'm like, oh my God, what if David Johnson was like hiding in the woods? He saw me screaming at all those people. I'm an anti-bully person. Aren't you supposed to always be nice? Like, when I first started this, I thought I could never be real, and now I'm like, oh no. See, what happens when you get bullied? You got to stand up for yourself. So you come off a little harsh sometimes,
Absolutely.
and I'm gonna have to live like that, and you're all gonna have to deal with it, because I'm done pretending that I don't have feelings.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, so I kind of lost my mind on those people, and I feel like I had to.
Was that a moment for you that did anything change in your delivery? Anything change in your message? Was it more powerful after that day? Was that a momentous day for you?
That was the day for me that it went from talking the talk to walking the walk. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, oh no, like, I mean this. Like, so, okay, like, from this point on, I guess if I do see it, I'm I'm going to say something. Like, I can't help it now. Like, it's so ingrained in me that I literally will put my life and my everything at risk to stop something. Like, it really, that was the moment when I realized, like, okay, so this is for real for me. This isn't like just talk. This is my passion.
Give me some of the definition that as you see what the word bullying actually means in 2020.
In 2020, it's truly, for me, it's repeated aggressive behavior to the same person or group of people. So, it's just purposely trying to get at someone, almost to make them kill themselves. I mean, there are people who will just text a child, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself. I hate to go political, but there is it's a fact that there is a group of supporters for a certain candidate who are very, very, very mean and bullying. And he's a Democratic candidate, just for the record. And his people, so in the 2016 election, this group of, I'll just say Bernie Bros. This group of Bernie Bros went after a friend of mine on social media, calling her a bunch of homophobic names. And I just stepped in and said, that's really cruel. I would like to think that in a party that is, pro-gay marriage and all this stuff, we would not be mean. And they then looked me up, started emailing my business account, and then writing to me that when I was being bullied as a child, I should have killed myself. Why don't you kill yourself now if you're so stupid and you're supporting Hillary? All this stuff. And it was like, you don't even know. I just was defending my friend, like literally one. And it just made me realize, and so that to me is like cultish behavior where they're always going after the same group of people repeatedly. So that's bullying. That's cyberbullying. It's really like that kind of repeated aggressive behavior. And it's also in being purposely excluding. It's like just being like, just knowing that you could be, there's a group of people and you're like, okay, we're inviting everyone but you. It's just so why? What's with the...
Well, kids learn that from their parents.
Oh, without a doubt. And I remember being little and doing that once. We were having a 4th of July party, and I was always allowed to invite neighborhood friends. And I always invited my 3 best friends, and these 2 littler kids wanted to come, and they just showed up. I didn't even invite them, and I was so mad. And I was like, Dad, can you believe this? They just showed up. I didn't invite them. And he was like, so? And I'm like, well, but I didn't invite them. And he's like, but we have enough food, we have enough soda, we have enough stuff, games to play. Like, what's the problem? I'm like, well, he's like, yeah. If they want to come, why wouldn't you want them to come? You want everyone to come. You want to have as many friends here as you can. I'm like, oh, I didn't think of it that way, And it just like, but so my dad helped me realize, like, you don't exclude people, you let everybody come. My parents were very inclusive that way. I was very blessed. I mean, my parents were nuts, and like I had some crazy stuff happen to me as a kid, and just like the stories are nuts. But with that said, man, did they teach me kindness, being a good person, manners, looking out for each other. Like what they valued was not money. Like they always said, we just want our kids to be seen as good people. We don't care if they are a success. Like that's a success. Be a good person. Even my brother who died of a drug overdose was probably the kindest human that has ever lived. I mean, in his community in Ambridge, he worked 2 full-time jobs and then took care of older people around. Like you would never have thought he was someone on oxycodone. Like you never would have picked him out. Like when he died, no one believed us. Like a lot of people were just like, no, not him. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, Pepe struggled his whole life, but the oxy is what killed him. I mean, that's
absolutely right. Absolutely right. The bullying part is, I think it's I think bullying, especially with men, I'm going to wrap on my own gender for a second. Middle-aged men especially, about 10, 12 years ago when there was more sensitivity toward the word bullying, and I think it was being misinterpreted a lot, I think a lot of men of my era looked at it and dismissed it like, well, that's just ridiculous. So I'm gonna tell my kid to fight back if something happens to them, and they took it almost as an attack on, I don't know, masculinity.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I won't make a lot of friends saying this, and I'm sorry if you don't agree with me, oh well. But I think that instead of looking at it sophisticatedly, is that a word? Be more sophisticated in thinking about it, Gabby, in terms of like, wait a second, this has always been going on. It really is something that we need to try to end, especially with children.
Yes.
That was a sophisticated look, as opposed to being offended by it or taking like a personal attack of your whatever. And I'm thinking that's changed a little bit. Do you feel that we're getting better? Maybe 10 years ago?
It's definitely getting better, but what breaks my heart of why it's getting better is it's usually because it's a parent who has watched it happen to their own kid, right? Or it's somebody like their brother's kid, or their like now it's getting so, I mean, I mean, the school district's just in our general area where we are right now. I know there's been, and they keep it under wraps. They don't really talk about
I'm aware.
it. West Allegheny, Montour. I mean, it stemmed from bullying, kids taking their own lives because of bullying. And I think that's why people are sort of like, oh, okay, this is different this time. This isn't just guys being guys. This is that's how I try to describe it. And I think I said it in my TED Talk too. To me, it's harassment.
You did.
Old school bullying is just, I mean, I got bullied on the soccer team, and my dad, it's 6 years old, and my dad's like, the biggest kid, you knock him out. And so we were doing Oklahoma drills. I clipped the kid in his neck. He blacked out. He lost his breath. I thought I murdered him, and I was like, I'm not listening to Dad anymore. I don't want to hit people. I don't like this. You know what I mean? But like that was the old school mentality. You just punch them and it'll be okay.
Right.
But you could punch them and you don't know they have a pre-existing heart condition and they're dead and you're 6 and now you have to live with that the rest of your life. Maybe let's teach our kids that there are consequences to our actions and our choices.
Yeah, and I think that's not an attack against anyone's masculinity as a parent. That's just being sophisticated, I think, and being smart and doing the right thing.
Exactly.
In regards to your own child. Just if you don't have enough empathy for the child, the other child, at least have enough for your own. Right. Because in theory, if they're doing the right thing, it will benefit others.
You would think that, yes.
Yeah.
But what you're saying too is very interesting, because when Josh and I were invited to perform in Mexico pretty early on. We were invited to headline an international children's festival in Monterrey, Mexico. We were very open, like, we don't speak Spanish. Our songs are all in English. Do you still want us? Yes, we want you. We came. And the reason they brought us was because they don't even believe in anti-bully in Mexico because of the machismo. Like, it is not, you're not allowed to talk. Bullying is not, that's not even in the lexicon. And this man who believes in it was like, no, we need to start. And he's like, any way I can have a connection with the two of you spreading this message, we need to do this. And so for a couple following years, we would send videos to the festival and stuff like that. But I don't even think he has the festival going anymore. But yeah, I mean, so like they're culturally, I mean, I think I grew up Italian. I mean, I think about my dad, and I think if he were alive when I'm doing this, him being like, you just hit the kid. You know what I mean? Like, I told you just hit the kid. No, Dad, that's not what you do. You don't just hit the kid.
I would like to think that we've evolved as a people. Yeah. To some degree. That's, that might have been the rule of the day in the 20s or 40s or 50s, but at some point in time, the violence isn't the answer.
But I can't tell you how many kids. Gabby, my daddy says, well, I can't tell you what to do. Your dad's in charge. So here's what I'm recommending, but you got to do with what mommy and daddy say.
And I think, and it's so funny too, because and I love having conversations with multiple people too, just hearing different viewpoints. Because even if you disagree, I try to think, like, where does that person coming from that they feel that way? I try to validate in my brain, like, there's got to be a reason they feel that way. I disagree with it, but it's got to be coming from some place. Exactly.
There's why their truth is this. Like, why? Yeah. No, my mom always said that everyone has a motive for why they do what they do. You have to figure that out. And and I think another part of the anti-bully movement that I also like to focus on that I don't think a lot of people do is that I truly, when I'm there advocating for the kids getting bullied, I'm also advocating for the kids who are bullies, because I truly, in my gut, worry what is going on at home, that they are acting out like this. I would doubt that, I would say maybe 0.09% are sociopath, future serial killers. Right. Most of these kids are kids who are being abused, who are getting bullied in some way, who are being neglected. They need attention. These are cries for help. Let's stop looking at bullies as though they're just evil, and let's stop looking at kids who get bullied as just victims, and start looking at them all as kids who are all going through something, and they're not old enough to understand how to deal with their emotions and their words, and that's where the grown-ups should be coming in. But unfortunately, they often see teachers bullying other teachers, teachers bullying poor kids. I mean, my mother always told me how she got bullied as a kid by teachers. She grew up with 2 alcoholic, abusive parents. Her mother would just abandon them for months at a time. My mother would be in charge of herself and her little baby sister. She'd show up at school with dirt behind her ears because she didn't know, and dirty clothes, and her teachers would slap her and tell her, we're going to get CYS involved. And then my mom would have to learn how to do laundry as a 6-year-old. And I mean, where's the compassion for? I mean, I've heard teachers say, "Oh, he comes from a bad home. Their parents. That's the problem, right?" But 8 hours a day, they're with you. You could be the person that changes this kid's life. I wouldn't want to be a teacher just to not change a life. Like, I'm not in it I wouldn't do it just for a paycheck. Like, it would be like, this is a big responsibility. I'm a teacher.
Oh, that's the most. There's 2 arguments to the whole teacher thing I hear. One is they're overpaid. Half the society thinks they're overpaid. They get 3 months off, and it's a cake job. That's what half of our society thinks. I will admit to you, as a younger person in my 20s and 30s, I kind of thought that too. I did. Teachers, I mean, how fucking hard's that, right? And then you evolve, and then you realize, and you really get to know some teachers, and you really, I've gone to some classrooms and sat in. I've gone into elementary classroom in Beaver Falls, and a couple of friends down there are teachers. Tough school. And just see what they are confronted with daily, and the level of responsibility if you really do your job right.
Right, yeah.
It's
the good teachers deserve
insane.
$1 million, medals. I was blessed with a lot of good teachers. I mean, I have teachers who definitely, I still look back and I'm like, that one let me be funny. That one let me be me. That one just like, you saved me at a time when when kids were bullying me, and you'd be like, here, you don't have to go to lunch. Come and hang out in my office. I mean, so many I could just like rattle off. I had more.
That's good.
Amazing teachers than that, and I give that credit to Montour. Montour, is more of a sports school than an art school. That was always my biggest complaint, but I was a jock, so I could make it work. But I had some of the best teachers ever there.
It's funny you said that too. I'll share this with you. My favorite teachers were my kindergarten teacher and my second grade teacher and my history teacher. That she followed us for 4 grades. She loved our class, so she followed us for 4 grades. But there was a lot of other, and this was the 70s now, the 70s going into the early 80s, and things were different. There was corporal punishment. We had a teacher who would, a social studies teacher who would just punch kids. We had a gym teacher who was, now I guess he's changed as a person, but he was doing things now that he would never be able to, turning the lights off in dodgeball games. He was a very interesting kind of person. And what I'm saying to you is I've seen the good and the bad in teaching at Cornell High School. Figure it out. Yeah. The point is, I think we have gotten some more sophisticated. I think teachers they can't do that stuff anymore. Some of that stuff, I'm hoping. I don't know where I was going with this. But those couple teachers that really made an impact, I think if even a kid today can get 1 or 2 they can grab onto and see almost a better example than what they're seeing at home sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
That can save a child, right?
Exactly. No, without a doubt. Like that's why I get so frustrated when a teacher will just be like, ugh, act like a kid's a lost cause. Because I'm like, you're the one who's supposed to be seeing this and helping them. Yeah. I do every summer. I do a camp for the Pittsburgh Police. They offer a free camp to city kids. Mm-hmm. You just have to apply, and if you get picked, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you get to go to shows at the Heinz Hall. You get to have entertainment come in. You get to go to the zoo, the pirate games. I mean, they do everything for them all summer. It's so fun. And the first camp of the season, it was a group of kids, and there was this one kid who was just being salty. I mean, salty. They'll ruining it for everybody, like not stopping. And I'm just like, and every time I'm like, man, come on, why are you doing this? Like, I'll just, in the middle of the show, like, dude, you're ruining it for everybody. You got to stop. Come on, man. And then, like, I'm looking at the cops, and they're just like, we're sorry. He's been like this all day. We're going to get rid of him. He can't come back tomorrow. That's what they kept saying to me. And I was just like, wait a minute. Like, this isn't. So as they're all leaving, I'm like, hey, buddy, time out. What? Why are you acting this way? I can see in your eyes, in your demeanor, you're a good kid. Mm-hmm. Why did you want to ruin today's show? Like, what's going on? He was like, I don't know. Last week, my dad got arrested for dealing cocaine on our front porch, so maybe that's why I'm in a bad mood. And I went, all right, I'll take it. That's a good reason. You should be in a bad mood. And I was like, did you hear that? So maybe don't kick him out. Maybe get him a little bit of help tomorrow. Maybe he needs this camp more than any other kid in the town, so let's keep him here. But talk to him and see why he's acting the way he's acting instead of just ignoring him and dismissing people. I hate that.
Why do we do that?
We all do it.
Because it's easy?
Oh, it's so easy. I mean, my mom always said that. She's like, I'd be like, oh, that's a mean old person. She's like, they're not mean. They're in pain. Just when people are in pain, they come off grumpy. And now when I think that, and I'm like, oh, do you need help? You just be a little extra nicer, and you'll be amazed how like, yeah, thank you, because they are in pain most of the time, or whatever. You are thinking about somebody. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just like, and I have a lot of friends who will be like very blanket statements. Like I hang out with a lot of I don't know, wacky's not the word, but like, people are like, yeah, I'm woke or whatever, and they'll be like, I hate the police. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. No, I don't think you should say like generalized statements like that. And they're like, why? I hate the police. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I have like 3 friends who are detectives, and they're really good people, and I know that they would like help you if you needed it. Like, I know there are horrible police out there that are scum, and like they literally are, racist, but that's not all police.
That's a small
yeah, you're
portion
gonna like
of the police
badmouth
stuff.
everybody. Like,
Right.
I have good friends who would like, I don't know, they vote probably more liberal than you vote. I don't know, whatever. But I just get really mad when people do that, when they generalize anybody.
Well, we talk in absolutes in this country, which is the one thing that really and I had a guest on and said that it was a great statement. I just can't remember which guest said it. They're all great. But they said something, if they could do one change, and that would be change the lexicon, because we talk so much absolutes in our language, even by happenstance now. We just lump groups of people together based upon one person's actions.
Yep.
Or we buy into a stereotype, which mankind's always been doing that, but we talk in a lot of blanket statements, like you said. I guess that's the only word I can use is blanket statements, and that is not helping. That is not helping the national dialogue.
Not at all.
At all, right?
Right, and that's what was happening with the anti-bully movement, where it's like, bullies are bad. I'm like, whoa, no. And I even said to Josh, I'm like, I don't want to call it anti-bully anymore. I want to say pro-kindness. Because when I say anti-bully, to me, if I was a kid that's a bully, I'd be like, well, she hates me. You know what I mean? And I don't want any kid feeling like I'm coming in against them. Like, this is for them. It's for all of them. It's for kids being bullied, the kids who don't even ever live with being bullied or are bullied. You know, there's the kids who... I mean, the kids that I like admire the most, and the adults that I admire the most, are those who just like literally are so oblivious. Like, they haven't had major death in their life. They haven't had been poor. You know what I mean? Like, college was paid for. They got a job right out of college. They met the person they just live like, and they think everyone lives that oblivious life. And I'm like, oh my God, you could never do a day in my shoes. Like, you wouldn't make it, man. You would crumble. You would be so scared of life if you lived one day like me. But okay, cool. But I envy them. I'm just like, oh man, I want to be like this.
I get it. And I don't think there's a lot of people out there running around. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think there's a lot of people running around that have been unscathed through life. We've all kind of had things happen. I'm assuming, but I see your point entirely. If you really haven't felt pain, right?
Or if you're just like, oh, people die, grandparents die. Oh yeah, I knew my parents would die. You know, people like that, like, are very just like, matter of fact. Yeah, I mean, yeah, parents die. Yeah,
that all comes from nurturing and parenting, isn't that? I mean, if you're that way as a parent, I mean, man, maybe not. Genetics is a bitch.
But no, it's true, because I've seen people who are like, their parent dies and they're just like, whatever. And then there's people who like are me and they're just like, I'm never getting over this. I will never be the same. Yeah. You know, like, I just can't. Like, they were my best friends. Like,
but how could anybody really, though? If someone is that influential into your life and they're no longer here, for the time you have left here, you can never be the same. I think we lie to ourselves. Like you said before, like, you know, if you don't embrace the darkness or try to understand the darkness and just try to put it aside or try to bury it, it ain't going anywhere.
Right. It's going to come out someday.
Coming back, right?
So you may as well acknowledge it's here so you can, you know, not crack. Yeah, no. But I see it. Like, my best friend, her mom has just died the day after Thanksgiving. And she was like, they live across the street. Like, she was a second mother to me.
Right.
And recently somebody had described my best friend grieving as her just having the never-ending doldrums. And I was like,
wow.
It's been 3 months. I wouldn't call that a doldrum. I'd call that grief. What are you talking about? Like, I just am like, and then I think, what? Like, how was death for you? Like, was it just like, moving on? I don't know. I just am not that kind of person. I super feel my feelings. I'm a very, like, I feel it all.
Do you like social media? Because you lived before it, and you're living with it now, and I'm sure you're using it like we all do to promote our entities.
Yeah,
our endeavors.
I really appreciate it as a financially free way to promote yourself.
Sure.
I don't think it's free because it takes such an emotional toll on you.
Nothing is free.
So I really struggle. Like, of them all, Facebook I hate the most. I try to stay away from it. I don't even have the app on my phone. I don't want. Yeah, when people try to get through to me, you never got back to me on Facebook. Yeah, because I'm not on it. I'd rather be dead. Sorry, can't do it.
Really?
Yeah, I will. I
find that interesting.
Show evites I'll do, because that's like, I don't know any other game in town to do that quite that way.
Okay.
And for free. But no, I hate Facebook, so I try to stay off of it. Twitter I like to a point, because I feel like there's so many people that I could get lost, so I don't have to like worry too much about psychos. Instagram I like, but I definitely get a lot of psychos on there. Like, you know, I feel like people use Instagram as a dating site, so I often get like weird pictures sent to my private message.
Really?
I'm like, no, I don't want this. Yeah, okay. So I hate that.
Okay.
But I love YouTube. YouTube is like my absolute favorite. Yeah, YouTube, Instagram, I guess, were probably my main.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I do Twitter. But
I will not have a Twitter account. I think I actually have one, but I won't even. I think that is the most caustic. It's the Wild West.
Oh, it is. It's pretty.
And I know that a lot of celebrities like to communicate that way. It's their main. I think it's their main way of doing it, right? because you have to be more. I think you need to be more invested in Facebook to make it work. It's worked great for me for real estate and for the show, but you have to be more invested in it. Why do you not like Facebook?
I just really don't want to know how my third grade teacher voted. I just want to go back to a time when politics was private, religion was private.
It is political.
I just miss when we were private about those things and we could just be, fun. There's no social in social media. It's so
good point.
Negative, and it just it kills my soul. And also this It took a while to realize it, but the people who have the perfect lives on Facebook, and then you start comparing yourself, and you're like, I'm never gonna have the perfect life on Facebook, and then you realize they've been lying the whole time. They were divorced for 3 years. Now they finally have come out that their life was miserable, and you're like, why do I believe Facebook? It's a real the worst part of high school revisited. You know what I mean? This is what I have and you don't, and it's gross. What? But I don't know. It's
very political. It's very political. I think if it's a personal decision. You can manage your profile, in a way that reflects your reality, or you can be somebody else, which I'm not advocating that at all, especially for your own headspace.
Right, it's not healthy.
No. But you're right. I can't defend Facebook. I think it's, to me though, I don't find it as caustic as Twitter.
Oh, Twitter can get crazy. Yeah. I mean, people. Yeah, but I feel like you can hide from that. I block a lot of people, so I'm just if you bring me down, you're gone. If you bring me down, I can't. And even if it's someone I'm related to, I mean it. I block family because it's nope. I want to love you, and if I have to love you from afar, it's easier. Let's do that.
The Facebook data, or however they're running Facebook in terms of the ads, the algorithms, and they also on Instagram too. The ads that keep showing become crazily annoying, and you can opt out of them. And I used to do that. This is annoying. Then another screen comes up. Why is it annoying? It's irrelevant. Okay, then they'll show you one more screen. Right. We're going to take care of it. You don't have time for it. So you get inundated with ads almost every 3 or 4 swipes down. So that's annoying. But I don't know why. Let me ask you this. Do you think Facebook contributed to the political mess that we have been in the past 10 years? Or do you think society in general has just driven us there? When I say mess, I'm talking about our inability to have civil conversations, and I think it has also triggered, and if I'm wrong, please tell me, it has triggered the one issue voter. Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yes, then that drives me crazy. The one issue voter. I'm like, wait. There's all this other stuff that affects you, but I guess you don't know that. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's vote on that. That requires effort. Yeah, no. Oh my God, yeah, do I believe, I guess that's the question. Were we going to go there anyway as a society, or has Facebook been I don't know. I kind of do question it. I do think the internet has made us, everyone is Rush Limbaugh. Everyone feels like they were entitled to be. We all have a voice that needs to be told, and we need to tell you, and you're going to get out of my way and get off my lawn. Interesting. And people look at their Facebook wall as their lawn. You know what I mean? Don't you come on my lawn playing that game. I hate Hillary, or I hate Trump, or I hate this. And it's okay. It's just not, it's really weird. It's just not, and I really do mean it. I'm friends with a lot of teachers, and there are ones that I just love. And then they post something, I'm like, oh no, you don't really think that. Don't think that. You know what I mean? I don't know, just something so insane, gay people are demons of the devil. Whoa, no, come on now. What? That's just silly talk, and I love you, Frau Rotz. I just don't want you saying that. It's hard for me to say bless you on Christmas when you say that kind of crazy stuff. You know what I mean? And Wally, would you not agree that the extreme on the left and right are still the smaller part of both parties? Because I think the country is in the center, left to right, a little bit nudging either direction. I pray that's true. Let's hope so. But it's interesting though. The extremes on either side are what gets the social media attention. Yes. Would you not agree? They run social media. It's not sexy being in the middle. No. Oh, they hate us. If you're in the middle. Yeah, I'm a registered independent, so I know I'm the guy that can't make a decision. You're damn right. Look what I have to choose from. Yeah, and for me, I'm very much in the middle. I'm one of those idiots that are we need more parties, but there's nothing wrong with that. Do away with the system of parties. Exactly. I think it doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit everybody. But with that said, no, I
I do a whole thing about like I loathe extremists. I mean, I loathe, they ruin everything.
Well, they're not. Again, that's not helping the national dialogue now, and they're extremists for a reason because they're a small proportion of the society feels that way, and I'm not for complete. I'm not for majority rules in every aspect of life. That's ridiculous. People will get trounced on.
Right.
But I don't want to be represented in the social dialogue by extremists on either side because that's not who the bulk of America is.
It's the truth. It's
right?
the truth.
Would you not agree?
No, without a doubt. Like my sister just started a job, and most of the people are conservative. My sister's a Democrat, but she's not all far extremist, right? But she's like more like the way my parents were.
Yeah.
Blue collar Democrat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they were saying about socialism, and my sister's like, well, that's not Democrat. Like, that's not fair. Like, the Democratic Party isn't the Socialist Party. It's just they're socialists now in the Democrat, but it's not the same party, and it's just like, we need more parties.
Labels.
We need more parties, though. Why can't we just have a Socialist Party, a Democratic Party, or a Democratic Socialist have three? I don't know. But it's like, it is very weird. And, yeah, with extremists, man, like they ruin religion, they ruin politics, they truly ruin Comic-Con. I can't do it anymore. They ruin it. They ruin it. And I'm just like, please chill out. I need everyone to chill. Please.
I just find it funny that humans think that, this drives me nuts. You tell me what your thoughts are. People think, rational people that I like and know and I work with, some of these people who I think the world of actually believe that if they go on, and I'm going to pick Facebook, they're going to go on Facebook and they put out things they found, Trump said that so-and-so was a killer, or that, Hillary Clinton actually conspired with her husband to kill somebody. These things that come from unnamed websites that have funny names. They haven't read it or vetted it out, or even sometimes on the bottom of that website it'll say, this is a satire site.
Right.
And they'll put that out there thinking that's going to change somebody else's opinion. See, I don't think the hearts and minds of anybody is being changed politically by a Facebook feed.
No, you are 100% right. And truthfully, it's those moments. It's the person like, guys, look at this. And it's fake news, or it's a story from 17 years ago and they didn't look at the date. Eric, that's when I'm like,
the date drives me nuts.
I got to get off. Like that. It's like so crazy. That makes me depressed. Like, I'm just like, I get so disappointed in humankind. I'm like, I'm so depressed that this person, one, didn't look at the date of the article, two, didn't look that, like, and one time it was like a PG reporter did it, and everyone's like, that's a fake news story, and I'm like, if the news doesn't know when it's fake, I quit, world. Like, it's bad, man.
And that's what's driving. But that's what's driving. Oh my God! I'm telling you now, if you and I were to stand out there and I was to tell you the sky is green, and we put that on video, and somehow we had the right algorithms and it went viral, not only would Eric McKenna have told Gabby that the sky was green today, but by the time it was done, it was green. I saw aliens that came down. They have fathered kids down the block from me who now my kids play soccer with. Do you see what I'm saying?
And I have a book deal because I witnessed the whole thing. So yes, I was there the day he saw the sky turn green. I witnessed it all.
And people believe it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, like, it's gospel to something. And I'm like, look, you people, I know you people, you're intelligent. I work with you. We socialize. You're good people. But you go on this thing called the computer screen or your phone, and all of a sudden you lose your brains.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think YouTube had to start... like they did something in the algorithm they don't want people to see conspiracy videos now because it started getting really like with Shane Dawson and his conspiracy theories, and I guess the Chuck E. Cheese thing got out of control.
Wait, what was that?
Oh, like a year ago. And I kind of believe him because I had every birthday at Chuck E. Cheese, and there's some truth. But it's that at Chuck E. Cheese they reuse the slices. So if you had like two slices left, they'll put on a thing. So all the slices are different sizes when you look at a whole pie. And people then would go in and like, yep, that's the case. That's what's going on. And then like it got really bad, and yeah.
Did someone rat them out? An employee rat them out, or something?
I think a couple employees did like confirm that was true.
So in one instance that happened, or one store was doing this, and they shouldn't have been, but then the whole company gets labeled. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, then that's not helping the national
It's not helping
dialogue.
anything. No, and it's like hurting a bit. Oh, this guy's been sued a lot for like the businesses he claims all these conspiracies about.
Do you feel that way about comedy? Like if you Have you had an off night?
I-
On stand up, have you had an off night?
Oh my god, yeah, and I feel badly because it's a mixture of me and the audience. Like I can usually, if I'm in a good headspace, I don't give a crap if the audience doesn't like me because I'm gonna have fun, and then eventually we'll have fun or not. But I'm still having fun. But like if I'm in a the last thing I want to do is be here. I hate everyone in this room. I hate the person who booked me. I hate my life, and then they suck on top of it. It's just like we all want to die, right? Like we all are kind of. Who else is going to write a suicide note tonight? Just me? Okay, well, I do one every night, so that's just my mantra to go to bed. But all right, good. Just making sure we're on the same page. I'll just I can tank fat. One time I pulled a Larry David. I literally just ran off stage. I was in Pittsburgh. It was my last time I was ever at the Improv. I said I will never go back. I used to get a lot of work at the Pittsburgh Improv, God bless them, but this was back under different management. And at the time, I never liked the comedy club vibe because it is like, set them up, knock them down. And it's like people coming in, like it's TGI Fridays for comedy, hurry up, make me. And I'm like a storyteller, man. I sometimes want to talk about dark stuff. And if you're like, and so.
You want them to be invested.
Exactly. And so we're doing this show and for whatever reason, a bachelor party decides to come in, and we are not the kind of show for a bachelor party. So I'm doing this bit about a book called In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, and they're like, we never heard of it. I'm like, oh, well, it was based on a real murder, the Clutter family that was murdered, and they're like, never heard of it. And I'm like, you never heard of Dick and Perry and the Clutter family? So now I'm doing explaining the backstory of In Cold Blood to tell, which was once a 1 second joke.
Right.
And then I'm just I'm doing Cliff's Notes in the middle of a show. Right? I'm getting so wound up. Cut to now I do another joke about my boyfriend buying me an LA Fitness membership, and I'm like, nothing says telling your girlfriend she's a fat ass like a gym membership and I'm like, and it also was a couple weeks after the massacre, and I'm like, dude, if you want to break up with me, you could just say it. Don't send me into a bloodbath. Everyone starts laughing except one woman who stands up and goes, hey, that ain't funny. I was in that. And I'm like, wait, what? And she's like, I was in that, and it was really scary, and we were on the machines, and the guys started shooting, and I had to hide under a water fountain, and my friend, I thought she got hit, but it was just a water fountain. Water came down her face, and we were still, and everyone's just like, what is that? And I'm literally like, really? I'm like, you thought this is the time in the middle of a comedy show at the Improv to tell about being in the and I went, I'm done. And I set down the mic, and I walked out the side door, and I got my car, and I left, forgetting I had driven my mom and my elderly aunt to the show. They were like, uh-oh, what do we do? I was already on the parkway when I'm like, Mom! I turned back and get her. Yeah, that was my last time at the Improv. I'm like, I'm done. Can't do this anymore. I'm done.
Well, see, and like you said, why do you go to comedy? If you're an offendable person, why do you put yourself in a position to be offended?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of personal? Whatever happened to personal responsibility?
Yeah, man, there's none anymore. It's all on us. It's like...
of course, it's someone to blame.
Yep.
People are entitled to... just because I don't like to laugh, I'm entitled to be in that comedy show.
But why? What is the point of it? Just to torture the comedians or something?
I don't like I hate malls, but I have the right to walk through one.
Why?
Really?
Yeah, it's so...
I'm allergic to ice cream. I can't eat milk, but I have the right to sit in Dairy Queen. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's
right?
No, it's bad. Hey, I get it. It's bad. I had a guy yell at me at a show recently because I talked about being Catholic, and he's like, I really was offended you went there. And I'm like...
When they say offended,
I'm like, why?
Does that even work though in a comedy audience?
I'm like, you're offended that my mom and dad baptized me as a baby when I had no control in the whole situation. You're mad about that. He's like, I just think with everything with the Catholic Church, you shouldn't be bragging. I'm like, did you hear my jokes? I made fun of the priest the whole time, and the only reason I'm staying is for the exorcisms. If you don't think that's a joke, I don't know how to explain comedy. I just don't know what to say anymore to people.
Terry Jones said he had one too, but a guy came up and was going to argue with him about something. And Terry's like, I just don't have time for this. This is just like you go talk to this. He wanted his money back or something.
Oh my God. Go get it. I don't, yeah. Oh my God.
Again, so it has to be societal, because I'm guessing that crap didn't happen in the 70s. They were
or the
80s.
Well, but it did happen during Lenny's time, though. That's why he got banned.
Well,
and
he was a groundbreaker there, right?
Right.
He threw the decency laws out the window.
Oh, he threw decency laws out the window, and that's why they wanted. And so, they claim that, yes, they were busting him for heroin and stuff, but the truth was they wanted to stop the crazy words that were coming out of this man's mouth, because he was like...
Is that Edgar Hoover at the time?
Was it?
I think it might have been, yeah.
I mean, it was real. I mean, he lost his cabaret card. He couldn't afford to to eat. I mean, they
Right.
truly. I did it.
They buried him.
I know. The first show I ever did at the Brillo Box was called "The United States Government Killed Lenny Bruce," a comedy show.
Are you serious?
I swear to
Are
God.
you serious?
I swear to God, we broke fire code. That's how I got the monthly show there. That's how I got it. I'm telling you, I'm crazy, but in a good way. I'm a good crazy. I'm everyone's favorite lunatic. I'm like your neighborhood favorite lunatic. That's me.
Yeah, you're like always on. So for you, it's probably natural just to be funny all the time because you find humor in everything, right?
Pretty much. It was my family's way. Like, we spoke in comedy. Like, it was just always fun. It was just, everyone was funny. Every single member of my mom always said that. Every one of my kids is funny, but she's the only one with the courage to get up there.
How about that?
And I just think I have no, like, I really give a lot of credit to my mania, because when you're manic, you don't really think. You don't have a lot of, like, how do I look? Or you don't even worry. You're just like, hey, everybody. You're just, I describe myself like a puppy. I truly am. I just love everybody, and I'm going to be your best friend until you effing treat me badly, and then I'm going to bite your ankle, and you're going to hate me, and that's how this is going to play. Oh, I will, like, mark my territory. You're going to hate me soon. Yeah.
What's going on? Talk about what's going on with you now.
So right now I'm in what I like to call my laying low in the bat cave, figuring out the next 7
sabbatical?
moves. It's not a sabbatical as much as I have a bunch of stuff coming.
Okay.
So I'm sort of just making sure it's all lined up when I come back big time. But for the most part, I'm just kind of keeping it low.
What can you talk about in terms of plans?
So what I can talk about is, so in the fall, definitely, there's going to be a relaunch of my anti-bully program. So
Okay.
it started as the Josh and Gab Show.
Right.
And then about 4 years into it, my bandmate Josh, through different circumstances, started having some health problems himself. His wife got pregnant, needed to step back from performing full time.
That can cause health problems in men.
Oh yeah, definitely. He definitely started having health problems. So he couldn't.
Pregnancy, you know.
So he sat back, and I was doing the show by myself, which got a little weird. Showing up as one lady as the Josh and Gab Show, and people were like, "Where's Josh?" And that was just wasting time. So then we relaunched again as Gab Squad, and I got to do all this really cool stuff. And that's when we started adding in some more mental health stuff, because that's more my thing.
Right.
And now he is in a position that he can come back. And I was really, when the Jonas Brothers had their reunion, I was like, it's time, bro. Bro, it's time. So we are getting back together. So 2017, we're working on that. So we're right now just doing all getting all the media together, recording we're making all new songs, new album, new everything, new press shots, new mailers, new messages. Like, it's just like, it's a lot of work.
It's a new show.
It's a brand new show that we are rebuilding as sort of the reunion show. So that's a lot of work that you don't put out for the world, right? So, because I even said that we recorded a song together last night, and I was like, am I allowed to kind of start talking about this? He was like, yeah, I think it's okay. So that's one thing that's going on. On the other side of it, for a long time, everyone's been sort of recommending me to do Patreon, which I always was like, no, I don't like begging for my work. But then it's like, wait, Gab, you are just giving stuff away for free for like years. Like, this is a little like nutty nuts.
Right.
You can maybe set one up, especially because I do YouTube, I do podcasts, I did that. So, and the other thing is, for years now, everyone is like, Gab, when are you writing your book? When are you writing your book? And I thought this might be a good way to kind of combine both of them. So it's like, and I used to write for City Paper and for Pittsburgh Current.
Well, that was my next question. You still doing that?
No, and I'll tell you why. And I hope they don't get mad, but I'm telling the truth. So City Paper, they had the budget cut, and I was the one person who got cut. I wasn't that mad because I felt very limited at that paper. You weren't allowed to be too political. You couldn't be too much of anything.
At the City Paper?
Oh, the very first thing they said to me is, you can never bash Trump. And I was like, I mean, that's not really my...
At the City Paper?
At the City Paper, because they're owned by the Butler Eagle, so they're still they're fake woke. I always say they're kind of like, they're doing what they have to do to be alt, but they're
the
not.
One that had, like, you could have sex with, like, aliens and stuff in their personals, right? Weren't they known for, like, the ultimate hookup?
But then he took that out. That's not in there anymore. And they got rid of Dan Savage.
I'm sorry, I haven't read the City Paper in quite a while.
Yeah, no, they're
I did not know.
Yeah, so that was.
They're not ultra liberal anymore.
Yeah, and they're not just. And to me, it's not like alt. You know what I mean? So I was just like, okay, whatever. That didn't work out. Well, immediately I got hired by the Current, and they were like, we pay more, we can give you more work, and I'm like, this is awesome. So I started writing every week and doing all this stuff and taking people out to eat, and they're going to reimburse me. And then first time I get paid, I don't get paid anything that they say they're going to pay me. And then the second time, don't get paid. And then I just stopped getting paid. And then I'm like, I've never been reimbursed. And then it just got to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to write until I get paid. And that's where we are with that. So sweet people, great.
Don't you hate lies,
and there's a lot of freelancers who I've been talking to that are like, yeah, I'm not getting paid either. What do you want to do about it? Because I had joked that I was going to start my own real alt, like just have 1,000 alts and be like, that's all it's called, Pittsburgh Paper. newspaper because I just can't take it anymore. But instead I figured, no, I'll start writing weekly columns for my Patreon account. So I'm going to start doing weekly columns.
Smart.
And then for exclusive members, I will let them have advanced access to the chapters I'm working on for my memoir, which is like some of these stories that they're just next level.
I can't
all
even imagine.
All real. That's the best part of it all real. And then videos specifically just for my YouTube.
Okay.
And I might do a podcast. I do one with my sister that's like just our thing. Like we call it Two Guinea Hens because we were called Two Guinea Hens once by a friend because we're Italian. And so it's all about us being Italian women. And it's a fun podcast, but we took a break for a little bit. So, but I might start my own too for exclusive Patreon members only.
Good for you.
Yeah, so that's
Good
sort of
for you.
where... Yeah, and I might also offer like coming and hanging out at people's homes. I'm not kidding, because I'm fun. Like if you guys want to have,
fun.
Like if you want to have a party, I'm like I got a lot of energy. You don't have to give me booze. Like this is just me, natural. I'm good to go. So I might like come and set up blanket forts in people's homes and then throw parties for them.
Blanket forts.
But they probably have to be limited to like guests. Oh, I love blanket forts. My whole house blanket fort. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about stand up now?
And with stand up, I'm kind of
Are you
launching.
Bring the blanket forts into the stand up routine?
Well, I want to start doing pop up shows. So yeah, my friend Arvin and I, we've already been kind of talking about that, like going around the country with pop up blanket fort shows, like just randomly.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, and only like letting people know via social media, like okay, we're here now, and if you come to this spot, we're gonna have a pop up. Like that's like an actual plan we're working on.
Okay.
And then just for like my serious like tour that I'm pitching to clubs around is sort of America's Favorite Lunatic, and the first show is going to be at the Lamp Theater. I'm headlining on April 23rd. It's a Friday night. I'm doing about like an hour and a half set, which I'm really excited. It's a bunch of new stuff that people haven't heard, a lot more, some more depth into family stuff that I haven't done really, and it's just good.
You say America's Favorite Lunatic.
America's Favorite Lunatic. I always wanted to be Mary Tyler Moore, but like in a straitjacket. So it's kind of like Mary Tyler Moore meets Norman Bates. That sort of. Yeah, I loved the Mary Tyler Moore show as a kid. So, like on Nick at Night,
I need you to come back.
Oh, I'd love to.
This was fantastic.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
I'd like to have you on with a couple other of your comedic friends as well, too. That's a whole kind of area we're going to discuss for the second part of this year. So
cool. Yeah, no, I love that.
Panel discussions, and this was great.
No, I had so much fun. I love Corey, so it was fun coming down here, too.
All right, so we will see you soon.
All right.
And you have your next gig is when?
My next gig is actually March 10th at the Brillo Box, and it's a fundraiser for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. So all the money will go to that. You could just come and not pay anything, but if you would like to come and donate, they would appreciate it. And all the merch you could buy as well. So,
Gabby, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, we are out. What do you think?
I thought it was awesome. Thank you
like
so
it?
much. Yeah, I mean, God, it was like...
Oh, it was great.
It was so much fun. I didn't realize we...
You didn't feel like it was too long?
Oh, no, not at all.
I thought it was excellent.
Okay,
Like,
cool,
time
yeah.
perfect.